Very good morning to you and welcome to the PGL Major offline qualifier, the final step before the PGL Krakow Major in just a few weeks' time. That's right, we've gone through open qualifiers, closed qualifiers, minor championships. Time to find out the last 16 here who will face off against each other in Swiss format over the next 4 days to find 8 more teams that will head to the Major. No tournament prize money, no tournament title, no championship. So what's it all about? It's actually the most important tournament of the year for all 16 teams. And to find out exactly why it is, we've got the perfect panel members with us this morning. Good morning to Janko and to Natu. How you doing?
Good.
Morning, Paul.
Yeah. You good?
Great.
Excited?
Yeah, for sure.
Actually made it this time to Bucharest.
You did? Well done. You've managed to navigate Europe.
Four starters. Yeah. Just being here is a milestone for me. So, yeah, let's take it one step at a time.
Yeah. It's we'll get into what is the qualifier and why it's so important. As I said at the start of the show, it's such a big deal for these 16 teams. But let's just take a moment to reflect back on what has been an incredible season, because it is a season now, isn't it, Natu? It's these open qualifiers, closed qualifiers, minors. It's just so much tournament to go through for some of these teams. Dignitas springs to mind as one of the teams that had to play in the very first open qualifier, and here they are.
And no NIP this far either, right? Even at the minors, let alone here. It's a dreadful journey for these teams. It takes so much endurance to be able to withstand as many single elimination situations going in through the open qualifiers and all the different phases. So, yeah, I mean, compared to what it was a couple of years ago, was a straight-up qualifier for the major, and that's it. Now you have a massive road. I think that's the right approach to it. It needs to be, it's the pinnacle, right? So it needs to be super hard to be able to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. You look at some of the teams that, didn't even make it to the minors. The likes of Heroic, for example, they finished top 4 at IEN Katowice, one of the, most premier LAN tournaments that we have, with a lot more different and difficult opponents than you have in the qualifier, and still you can't make it out. So it is, you need to have a special kind of mindset coming into it, because you're going to be playing teams that are unknown at the time. Maybe that's the next big team, but you don't know, and you're losing to someone you never heard of before. So obviously a very, very stressful scenario to get through.
Yeah, we've got 16 teams here, of course. 8 will drop back from the major before, or 7 in this case, and we've got 9 qualifiers from all the minors as well. Amongst them are not, however, 2 former champion teams. Both Envy and NIP didn't make it through.
Yeah, I mean, that just tells you how, the times have changed.
Let's just paraphrase
the wings
that again.
Have changed, yeah.
They haven't just not made it to the major. Make it here, to the offline, the final qualifier.
NIP didn't make it to the minor, for starters, let alone the major qualifier. So a lot of good teams, obviously, at the moment. A lot of teams that you maybe wouldn't expect to be here, up-and-coming players, which just, because of it, the legends likes of Forest, Get Right, Happy, former major champions are just not here.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's the 16 teams that are here, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. 7 teams that return, having already played in the previous major, in the E-League major, of course, and 9 teams this time round. Of course, we had that MVG2 change-up as part of the French Shuffle, which meant that we effectively had 1 extra space for the qualifiers. Ironically, Envy didn't take that one either, so shame for them. Let's just talk about some of the teams that are newer to this. There are 5 teams of the 16 who have never played in a major as far as the organisations are concerned. We've got Tai Lu in there, which I always find incredible, Yankee. You sort of think, no, they must have played in a but they haven't been there once.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, notoriously, they couldn't make it through, even though they had some promising performances at a couple of LAN tournaments. First and foremost, DreamHack Masters Malmo last year, where they had that upset win over the reigning major champions Luminosity, now SK Gaming. So it's been a tough road for them. Immortals are another team that's never been to a major, where you would expect, for them to be almost a standard team.
The other one's Tengri, obviously coming out of CIS alongside Vega. Both those 2 teams coming through the new CIS format, and also Big, which has been in existence for 5 or 6 months now, steadily been getting better.
Yeah, they have. They're going through the ranks, and it's been a 6-month journey for the team. It started in Leipzig in the beginning of the year, and now they're on the gates towards the major. I think it's been definitely an upward trajectory for them. And just looking at the way, it seems like they're really believers of a system. Well, not surprising, it's a God beat team, obviously, and we've seen Tabson obviously being the star, and he's going to be a storyline for this tournament as well. Interesting to see how he can fare against even better opposition. They're definitely a team that's close to, I think, one of the definitely dark horse possibility for them to be going through the major as well.
Okay, we've got the schedule for you. Obviously, 8 games today going to be taking place. We'll take a look at the schedule in just a moment, but before we get to the schedule, I want to show you exactly how this offline finals works, because it's very interesting, Janko. It's very different from other tournaments. It's Swiss best of 1, which is tough, obviously. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit more. As you can see on your screen, 16 teams, Swiss format, 5 rounds best of 1. So effectively, if you get to round 4 and you've won all your matches, you're in the major. So that's good news. You've played 3 and you're done. If you get to the later rounds, obviously you've still got a chance if you've lost against a couple of the bigger teams. So in some ways, it's sort of fairer.
Yeah, in terms of like which opponents do you play, it's probably the fairer system than GSL. Fairly straightforward. You win 3 games, you're through. You lose 3 games, you're out. You can never play the same opponent twice. Meaning, for example, G2 Immortals, right, huge matchup, and it sucks, for that to be your first game of the tournament. But, whatever happens, you don't have to meet that team again. So if you're 2-2 and G2 is 2-2, if you're Immortals, right, and you know that you don't have to play them, you play a different team, then you're probably feeling pretty good about it. So, yeah, the best of 1 factor, obviously, almost a sudden death of sorts. Anything can happen with these teams, and that's why it's so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's great, isn't it? What's it like for the players, though, Natu?
I mean, as a competitor, you want to have as little randomness into everything. So, I mean, I'm sure all the players would like to have a best of 3 Swiss system to play with.
And as many chances, to go through as possible. That's why some of them prefer Swiss, because you actually do get to play a lot of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's show you the schedule right now. As I said, we've got 8 matches for you today, all best of 1, one after the other, all going to come very quick fire today. And we'll start off with potentially the best one of the day. G2 go head-to-head with Immortals. This is a seeded system as well, and you might look at that and go, there is no way on earth that's been seeded, but trust me, it has. I've seen the background, I've seen all the stuff. It makes sense if you know how the seeds work. So G2 will take on Immortals to start with, our Optic versus Penta, all the way down, and we'll finish the day on Big versus Cloud9. Also a very good game to look forward to. There's lots in there, isn't there? Plenty of old boys matching up against new boys. And
for me, Flipside is interesting to see because we haven't seen much of them to see what kind of form they're in. But in this kind of competition, I feel like knowing Blade and how much he works, I think they're going to be ready for it. And they have the qualities to be able to qualify. But again, they're a bit of an unknown.
Just looking at their track record, right?
I was going to say it's the most experienced team here in the offline qualifier. Been to 7 majors, Janko.
Yeah, every time through the qualifier, except for the very last one. E-League, they qualified there as legends, so they definitely know how to grind out these qualifiers. And I think, if it's been 7 or how many of them, I think at least at 6, they were considered the underdog and not expected to make it to the actual major. So you would say the same this time around, especially because we haven't seen them in a very long time. But I think that track record and the history they have at the qualifiers kind of forces you to respect that and to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, before we move into our first game of the day, I'm just going to ask you for 3 names. Making it easy on you. Not giving you, make 8. Don't give me a champion. Don't
Team
give
names?
Me,
There's no champions in this tournament.
No, exactly. So give 3 teams that you think will make it to the major. Should be fairly straightforward, this.
Yeah,
I mean, G2 are the obvious ones, aren't they?
Yeah, I think, despite that G2 can be inconsistent at times, I think against this level of opposition and considering what's at stake, they have to perform, and I think they will. Liquid for me is like a very, very safe bet. They've been playing extremely well lately, improving with every tournament. And the number 3 in that, I'm probably going to go with Immortals. I think it's been a long time coming. For them, sometimes they were a bit unlucky with the draw, sometimes they would underperform, but it feels like with this team, that they are enjoying very much playing with each other. It seems like going back to Bolts as the in-game leader has also helped them a little bit, so those are my 3 picks.
Okay.
I think Cloud9 is up there as well as a possibility. I feel like their
recent form's been much better, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's summertime after all. As we all know,
June and July, and they always do well.
As we all know, summertime is when Cloud9 seems to be blooming. So I'm definitely thinking that they have a fairly good chance. Then, when you go further down the list, it becomes a little dicey. I think it all comes down to the matchups a little bit. That's the kind of the randomness factor in the Swiss format. For me, I think Big is definitely a team that is capable. I predicted them to go through as well for the reasons that I was alluding to previously. They've been working on that system for a long time, and they're the one team that actually do come up with new things. Recently, we saw them coming up with a really cool way of taking over ladder on terrain, for example, double mollies and all that kind of stuff. So I'm expecting a lot from them and being ready for anyone that they meet. And then, I'll be the one to take one for the team and say Penta, just because of the Finns, and I have that opportunity to be biased.
They almost made your top 8 list, didn't they?
Yeah, I was torn a little bit between Penta and Cloud9. The thing is, like, I recently you see Cloud9 and Optic, I mean, underperforming. Yes, Cloud9 made top 4 at ECS, but winning 2 best of ones, that's what you can expect from them. And they are maybe underperforming, but against the best teams in the world, right? When you talk about ECS finals, Pro League finals, those types of tournaments. Here, against this level of opposition, even when they underperform, they should be able to win games. If Cloud9 is having a bad game versus perhaps Vega Squadron, they still need to be able to win that game no matter what. So maybe I'm underestimating them a little bit, considering the opposition, but in a world where you play a lot of best of ones against teams you haven't really prepared for, you haven't really seen play, anything can happen.
Okay, let's move into our first match of the day. It is a big one. We're going to start with G2. On paper, they're the best team here. They've come off the back of recent success, having been the star team we always thought they would be. And they've got a star-studded lineup, 4 of which have already played at majors, 1 majors. In fact, their coach has won a major. Everything about this team says, dead cert for going through. But if there's a chink in the armour here, it's the fact that it's first thing in the morning on the first day, and they play probably the toughest opponent they've got.
Yeah, that's a tough start for them for sure. We know, going back to the Envy days where the core of this lineup is from. I remember they lost to EFRAG at the time, Bulgarian team at the Tower Ladder tournament. The first thing in the morning, no one expected them to be losing that game, for example. So yeah, they're notorious for this kind of thing. But in the big picture, still, they're kind of team that also has had it's been half a year-ish now. A little less that they've been working together. Yeah, it seems like time just disappears when
well, it's
you're
like
in CS.
3 months is like a year.
Yeah,
in esports,
exactly.
Isn't it?
So, the one good thing for these guys is that they've been working.
Apex is ready.
Apex ready. Look at that.
I think this, motivated. You should just shut up and let people look at this picture. That probably depicts perfectly what you want to talk about.
Exactly. They're ready. They're hungry. I was going to say that it's the kind of situation where they're ready. They're hungry. This is the one thing that really matters, and you see them asleep. So put all your money on Immortals.
It's like, how ridiculous is it that we actually discussed this even? Like, yes, they're a team that struggles playing early in the morning. Like, after all this time, with so much on the line, it's like, please, just don't let us play the first game.
And yet, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it even from the new MV team in the minors. They were awful sometimes. When they first came in the morning, it was just all over the place, totally different team to watch.
Yeah, and on a more serious note, when you look at the way they play, I think still, despite them trying, G2 is still very much based on individual performances of players. And, if it's an early start and you are a team that doesn't really have that much to fall back on, right, that can be a problem. If you're relying so much on individual plays and the performance isn't there, simply, what's the plan B?
Yeah, there is none, really. It's about grinding for them. And when you do that kind of play style, it's a lot about the individuals and having the likes of Kenny and Apex getting their shots in, because if they don't, then, I mean, you don't really have much you can think of what do we do now in this situation, really, do you? So, it's tough for them.
Their opponents, we mentioned already once, are Immortals. You made a great point that they've switched up in-game leader. They've gone back to Bolts.
Yep.
What sort of impact do you think that's had?
I think it's freed up Steel a little bit. I think he's playing better individually, and even before, when Bolts was the in-game leader, it didn't seem to impact his performance, at least. So, yeah, since all the roster changes that they've had, I think Immortals always, as well, have been reliant a lot on individual performances, mostly Henny Wright with the AWP. When he's having a great game, he can take over the game for his team. And I think them as well. I think all of these teams, like G2, Fnatic, Immortals, you can see with all of them who were before and still are, reliant on individual performances, they're at least trying to kind of widen their game and implement strategies and have a bit more depth to their game, because simply, you cannot be a top team without having a little bit of both. Just look at the likes of, SK FaZe and Astralis are the 3 best teams in the world now. They are able to switch between both of those styles.
Yeah. For me, like, the driving factor for this team is, for better and worse, is passion. If they're on point, they seem to be very having so many different ways of approaching situations, and you can see individually in the 3-on-3s and the likes. They do a lot of right decisions, but at the same time, if they have a bad round, they usually kind of get into a situation where things kind of start piling up, going worse and worse and worse, and they don't have that reset button a lot of the times that a lot of other teams do. So, that's kind of been even though they've mellowed down a little bit in the last almost 12 months. They used to be super loud. You could always definitely tell when they were on playing a game. But still, it feels to me like it's always kind of a string of either good or bad going for them.
Okay. We're going to get more from our panel members very shortly. We've got more to talk about in terms of Immortals. But before we get there, one of our other members of the broadcast team is ready right now in the player area. Pala is with Smiths.
Thank you so much, Paul, Una, and Yanko. I'm here with Smith, the coach for G2. Let's get right into Immortals, of course, with the thing that they do at the start, getting very hype. And thank you for that. Smith, are you ready and raring to go here in Romania?
Yeah, we are. We are really excited for this tournament, and we are ready to qualify for the major.
No doubt. Here I would say that most people would agree you are arguably one of the favourites to qualify here. Would you agree? How do you see yourselves doing right now?
We don't like being in this position, I guess. Like, it always deserves us. Yeah, because every time we play kind of lower team and we are favorites, we almost always lose. So now we have to be in the right mindset and to give everything to win.
You're coming into this qualifier, an extremely important qualifier, right after your tournament at ECS, which didn't go exactly according to plan. What happened there? What will you change now?
We lost against the 2 best teams in the world. They were in the final battling for the whole tournament, so it's not a shame. But yeah, we didn't really like the way we lost. It was really in the form, and we felt like after the tournament, we didn't give 100% of ourselves. So it was a mistake, and we'll try our best right now.
Have you been able to identify those mistakes, and do you feel that you've had enough time to go over them? Because you've pretty much gone back to back, straight from London to here.
Like I said, we have the game, we have everything, we have the players. It's all about mentality now, and if we recreate the right mindset that we had at EPL final, we'll win for sure.
Final thing then, what do you think about our rather boisterous opponents in the background, Immortals?
They're really good. It's been really tough matchups every time I play them, even when I was playing. It's going to be a fun match. Let's hope for the best.
All right, well, best of luck, Smith. You can now head back to your team, and we will head back to Paul on the desk.
Yes, thank you very much, Pala. Yes, voice from Smiths before they head into their match with Immortals. As he said there, gents, that they come unstuck against some of the smaller teams. We know that. Immortals aren't a small team, so actually it's probably a good opponent for them in many ways. They know them.
Yeah, but it feels to me, I can attest to what he was saying there. It's feels to me like they have the tools in every way of the imagination, basically, but it seems like they're not able to dig everything out of themselves in every situation. Now, that's up to the coaches then to think, like Smith is saying, it's about mentality for them. It's about preparation and putting themselves in the right mindset. So if they're going to go into, half-assed into some of these games, especially on the morning, I think they're going to be in a world of hurt. But at the same time, all it really needs is a couple of rounds going their way, and they'll get the right flow. And again, because they still are superior out of these teams pretty much against anyone, to be honest.
Yeah, you could argue that when G2 hits their peak, their ceiling is the highest out of any team pretty much in the scene. The problem is that happens very rarely, and the other teams are able to play more consistently on a high enough level, right? The likes of SK, FaZe, Astralis, even when they don't play their A game, they still manage to, for example, FaZe 4 tournaments, 4 grand finals, right? So for G2, that's the big problem. When we are not playing our A game, how good can we be? How far can we go?
Okay, let's find out how far Immortals can go and see whether they've woken up this morning as well. Panel right now is with Zach.
That is indeed correct. Zach, you guys almost completely threw off me and Smith at the start of that interview. A loud shout. You guys sound extremely excited for this tournament.
Yeah, it's the most important tournament of the year for us. It's for what we prepared the whole year.
And so, how would you say preparation has been for this event? Last time I spoke to you was, of course, at DreamHack. It was a pretty good event for you guys. You just narrowly lost to Fnatic after you'd beaten both of your first opponents. So, overall, that tournament to now, how is it going for you guys?
We had a week to practice in Europe, so we had a lot of time to adjust. We practiced at least 12 hours per day. So we adjust a lot of things, change a lot of things from DreamHack to now. So I feel prepared, and I think we got it now.
Yeah, and let's talk about your new star. I mean, maybe not so new to you guys who've known about him for so long, but someone who has definitely popped up on the radar for the wider audience, KNG. How's he fitting in even more so after DreamHack, where he had some amazing performances?
For a new player, he's super confident all the time. His spirit is always high, and it's always good to have him in the team, having a person like him, and I really like him. He's a keeper for sure.
No doubt. And so what will be the keys to victory against G2? It's the start of the day. Hopefully you guys have had some rest. These guys also. What are the factors that we need to look out for?
I guess that we know where they have like a difficult to play. I'm not gonna tell now, but I know that this side is not too good Inferno for them. So we're gonna start a CT and try to make the most rounds we can. That's it.
All right, and then Zach, finally, how would you say you guys' chances overall are for getting into that top 8 position here and qualifying for the Krakow Major?
I think that there's no thing here that is bad. So and also it's a best of 1, so you can be surprised on any time in this tournament. So you have to play your best game in every game, and just hope for the better.
There we go, Zach. Best of luck to you. Also, you can head back to your team and do any final little bits of preparation that you need. Let's head back to the studio for Paul. Best of luck.
Thank you very much, Pana. Yes, Keeper NG, new name confirmed. He's a keeper, says Zach, the coach of Immortals. He's done all right so far, Janko, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's not been too bad for him. I mean, big shoes to fill coming in instead of, FNX before that, Phelps, and perhaps he is the catalyst that Immortals need to make it finally to a major tournament.
A lot of people just look at that and say he's the next SK player that they take on.
Yeah.
I
doubt it because he's an opera and they already have Fallen.
Yeah, no, and Cold Zero if they want it.
Speaking of big shoes.
Pretty alright in that department.
It's the new meta. I saw it on Twitter. Anders says it's 3 AWPs. That's all you do. We are going to get into our map veto, which is going to be quite interesting, gents, this one. In the fact that G2 don't really play Mirage, Immortals don't really play Nuke, so I guess we know the first 2 bans. I think where do we go after that?
I think 4 of the 7 are pretty clear cut. Mirage and Nuke, as you mentioned. I also think Cobble is going to be vetoed by Immortals, trained by G2, and then it's between Inferno, Cash, Overpass, and that's where it gets really interesting because you look at it. Immortals beat G2 on Overpass at Pro League finals, then they had a great game on Cash against SK at DreamHack. So we see that in the end it does go to Inferno, which is, to me, slightly surprising if you're Immortals to let that map go through, because you know that G2 is going to be super comfortable on it, especially on the CT side. They feel like their CT side might even be the best in the world, the double op setup with Shox in Banana. That being said, Zach pointed out, they've done a lot of preparation, they traded a lot of stuff, so maybe they feel like this is a slight curveball, and also that the homework that they've done is going to be enough for them here.
3-month stats on Inferno: 61.5% win rate for G2, 76.5 from 17 games. It's the most played map other than Cobble for Immortals, and yet their best map other than Overpass. So super comfortable for them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see a bit of a obviously double odds scoring for G2 for a lot of the times as we've seen, but the whole Henny versus Kenny in a map like Inferno, where a mobile aggressive opera is something that you really want to have, being able to kind of slow your opponent down, close down Banana, but also be a problem when it comes to the top and middle as well. So that then kind of changes the way you approach the round as well, and it just kills a lot of the time.
It should be fun for us to watch, though.
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
If nothing else.
And I want to see if Immortals make those adjustments, because as I said, G2 likes to run double up on CT side, and that's something that's, you know, quote unquote easy to counter, right? With the execute heavy play style, fast pass style. You just don't want to play default and get picked off by those ops. That's something that Immortals haven't been great at, you know, just running executes and having that explosive play style. They mostly like to run default. So if you do that, you're in danger of getting just ripped apart by that CT-sided setup. So
yeah, I mean, the one thing that comes to mind from Immortals to me is that a lot of the faster runs is a lot of chaos for them. It feels like they're cutting corners a lot of the time. You can come up with a lot of system when it comes to fast rounds, you know. Just make sure that the first 2-3 spawns know exactly if you're taking over Banana, for example, you know exactly what you're doing, who's throwing what, and what angles you're taking and so forth. And then you can really make it hard for the CTs. But it feels to me that a lot of the times for Immortals, those kind of rounds get really super chaotic. And I can imagine in their voice comm, someone's like, oh, forgot to throw that flash, or forgot to throw that, you know, and they're going to make that massive difference as well.
And but 12 hours practice a day, and they've been doing it in Europe, so they've been facing this kind of stuff.
Sounds kind of insane,
yeah, we see all the NA teams talking about how practice is so much better in Europe and everything, even individually. So they're going to be miles better team. But yeah, for the G2 side of things, also T side Inferno is probably the worst place where you want to have a slow start. You know, if you're talking about them as not really early risers, I think that can be very, very dangerous. And they are in that situation still where if they lose like 2 gun rounds, but doing something, you know, which makes sense or playing good fundamentally, then they fall back to that bad habit of just force buying and, you know, get Tech 9's armor or whatever. And that's really not extremely viable on Inferno. You really need to be patient and play your gun rounds.
Okay. Key player for each team. Natu, who would you pick out?
I'd say Henny still, just for the reasons I said before. Yeah, exactly, because that has to be the determining factor, especially on CT. And he's the kind of mobile and aggressive opera that can really be everywhere on the map, and that makes it that much harder for the T's to make plays. So I'm looking out for him. Okay.
Let's say good morning to our commentary team for the first match of the day. Who better to bring you the opening one of the day, dust off the cobwebs, than Mr. Bardolph and Mr. DDK. Good morning, gents.
Morning.
How you doing?
Yeah. Normally when we are about to go live, we're like, do you want to talk first? Do I want to talk first? So we do this. So on the camera, just doing that, like, it's looking really weird. Yeah, looking forward to getting things kicked off here in Romania. It's our first time in PGL studios out here.
Is it?
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah, I've worked there before, but I haven't been
it's pretty neat, isn't it?
in Bucharest before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, Bucharest is fantastic.
Did you get freaked out by the no shoes rule?
No, I love no shoes. In Face Office, I wear no shoes, but I get mad dirty socks because everyone else wears shoes. But here, it's lovely.
No shoes rule rocks here. We like that.
10 out of 10,
nice
man.
bit of sock in the morning.
Feels weird
though.
This is where that special moment between Matt and Henry happened, as was reminded to us
Please
earlier.
don't get carried away in that booth too soon.
It's been
That's all I'm going to say.
They've told us it's been sanitized. So
okay, all right. Yeah, no, it's been cleaned since. Good luck, gents. Thanks very much for bringing us the first match of the day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Red Eye. Inferno, then. Is this a time for Immortals to shine? I think a lot of people are waiting for Immortals to really have that standout performance that we feel like the team are capable of lineup-wise. Will it be today?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously we know that G2 have an amazing level of skill individually, and that's something that they can really leverage on a map like, well, all maps, to be honest. I mean, they're very experienced players and they're a very experienced team. But as Zach was saying, of course, you know, Immortals have been able to prepare quite a lot for this, as you would expect. And it's a team which has been trying to reinvent itself for quite some time. And obviously they had that quite notable result where they were able to take down SK not so long ago, which was sort of a milestone event for them, only to, you know, be and a very encouraging factor, having just added KNG. So I'm really curious how things will change for them. I feel like at this point in time, it's a bit too hard to really predict or put our finger on quite exactly how they're going to play or how they're going to be up against G2 in this instance, as G2 are definitely one of the teams which they'll have been watching, I'm sure, and taking note of as to how they like to play, because, you know, they're notorious for their double orbs, for example. So they'll know what they're going up against, but I feel like G2, they won't quite know quite as well what they'll be up against.
Oh, look at that. So production is just saying that this is a watchtower for the coaches to use so they can see the mini-map and 5 POVs. That's amazing.
That is so sick.
That is amazing. That is super cool. How much easier is life when you get to do that?
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Great to just sit there and take notes as well. You don't need to walk back and forth between different players' POVs. You can just see it all in one place. So shout out to PGL for that. Attention to detail is off the charts at PGL, it has to be said.
Yeah, they used to have, I remember when some coaches used to be like, oh, it's so cool, we have like a clicker, and they could like go, click between different POVs, but it wasn't quite perfect. Sometimes it would break. Here, you just got all the screens up there with all the POVs. That's amazing. Wow. They must be so chuffed.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, awesome. So that's the G2 side. I walked up to Kenny and I said, my mind is telling me no. And I went up to Body and said, my body is telling me no. Kenny was so confused. He had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
He looked at me like, what is wrong with you? Like, have you been drinking? It's like 10 a.m. And there's the Immortals side. Again, we've seen a lot of Immortals, obviously, in our own league as well. And they've got the firepower, man. They've got the firepower. I think in our interview with them, they felt like they might have been missing that kind of natural leader, like the talisman of the team. Maybe it will develop over time. They are up against a very big test indeed. Team headshots, or headshots into their French G2. Looks like he might be starting on the T side. We'll find out soon enough. Who are you looking for on both teams for a standout performance here?
I think the Shox Kenny, yes. Well, the thing is, okay, I mean, I absolutely love G2 for many reasons, and it of course is just down to the fact that, like, you have a player like MBK who, I mean they can all be star players. Like that's the thing. This is a star-studded lineup. G2, every single player can basically do it all. Obviously, when you look at a map like this, you're very much looking towards that double-up setup on the CT side that G2 love to run, but we'll be starting things off on the T side for G2, and Immortals will be on that CT side. So let's see how things begin before we speculate too much. We can allow the action to do the talking for us with a quick play up double, up second mid there from G2. Bolt's just going to spot it though, and there is 3 players for Immortals on Banana, and they're actually going to choose to push it so they can have a fast flank time. But I've seen this pistol before from G2, straight into CT spawn.
Yeah, the sandwich was there, but Apex gets picked off looking towards bottom mid. So the CTs will be in position. They can peek and see Henny. He wants to use that range. There's the first headshot. Going to delay things very briefly. His teammates are on the site, apart from Bolt, who's still on the rotation. And Bots might be left alone unless Lucas can be successful. Moving up Banana, dueling with Kenny. They'll move back onto the site and play the numbers game.
Yeah, so a pretty annoying situation here when you have no utility. At the very least, they have Kevlars. These retaking CT players of Immortals, so they can take a few shots here and get some accurate shots themselves. And there's one. Bomb still needs to be planted. This is perfect timing. Nice shot there from Lucas. Finds one through the coffin. And now it's just going to be Kenny S looking to try to clutch this one. He has a USP, but he can't quite find the connections in the reload. That will buy a lot of positioning there for Bolts and Lucas, and they will close it down. A 2 versus 3 retake. And they don't lose a single man there. They will be very happy with that one, all things considered. And even more importantly, they prevented the bomb from being planted. So that's really painful for G2. They can't get the pressure on quite as quickly as they would have liked to.
See what the T's opt to do. And it will be the force buy for the entire team. Some AWPers you'd see always go for that double save, but Kenny will be all in with the rest of the team. Apex and Shox grenade men. See if they have a force buy strategy. It was back in the existence days. He had some nice second round lost pistol strats on some maps, but that level of detail has been quite rare. All things considered, at least as far as grenade executes go. Anyway, we see G2 with a classic apartments rush. Bomb in the pit, however. See how likely it is to get planted. Still holding things down on the side at the moment. 3 versus 2. It's been tied up. There are still Tech 9s in play. Again, it's a force buy. These players have got armor. This is winnable now for G2.
Yeah, it's definitely quite winnable. There's a smoke grenade as far as utility is concerned for Immortals to use if they want to, but I'm not sure that they'll actually be opting to actually use the smoke here, as they just want to get these engagements going, and they'll try to coordinate here from Arch side and from Quad side at the same time. Here we go, Lucas and Henny making their way in. Let's see what the Twins can be doing in this situation. Shox and Kenny are in the corners of the bomb site, and they will be easily cleaned up. There was no question as to where those players were hiding. No uncertainty, and Immortals will win the rounds there with another 2-man retake. So at the very least, this time G2 did get the bomb planted, and they got a bunch of kills. So they'll be moving forwards with some pressure on that Immortals economy. We'll see, though, whether these UMPs can be in use for much longer, or whether G2 are going to have another successful round as far as the kills are concerned, because they have decided to buy up once again. They're actually almost, well, it's actually a half buy, but it will feature a Galil and some Tech 9s.
Oh, we've got a push from the CTs. This may be, this could be a nasty surprise for them. The numbers game for G2 in second mid. There's the first kill. The Galil now revealing the buy from G2, and that's really going to put Immortals in an awkward situation. G2 capitalizing on them out of position. Steel goes down as well. And now what do you do if you're Immortals? 3 versus 5, completely out of position.
Oh, that works. One through the smoke there at T-mid. That's really nice. Alleviate that pressure that could have been that flank no longer. But Body is going to be really annoying. I think they realize that it's very likely there could be a player in apartments. So Body will just maintain this position, keep the information alive for G2 as well, as just have generally an annoying position if he needs to towards the balcony as well. Looking onto the bomb, which is ticking away ever so quickly at this point. Lucas will make his way in, trying to find something, but ultimately Immortals will be denied here. 4 men surviving for G2, and again, let's not forget, you can see it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. There's actually quite a lot of money left on G2. They did not go for a full buy here. So now they have huge amounts of money in the bag. The bomb did explode, which awards them a lovely $3,500 each instead of the $3,250, which is for elimination, victory by elimination. So, yeah, it's going pretty nicely for G2 already, even though they're 2-1 down. They're looking really good at the moment.
Yeah, this buy of Immortals is very ropey for this round. There are some rifles there. The Mag 7 is out on Bolt Steel with a CZ. They've got some smoke grenades though. We'll see how far that takes them. And I really do think that was a nasty surprise. It can be common on Inferno anti-eco rounds as opposed to anti-force buy to just charge down the middle area and shut it down before it even starts. So I really think they were not expecting such a buy from G2 in that situation. And it pays off for the French, who now seek headshots on Banana, clearing out the top. And there's Henny caught out of position. No CT can answer that one. And there we go. Team edge shot from G2, clearing out the B bomb site. Trouble ahead for Immortals.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot. You almost would consider just going for a full save, I think, in this position, as the retake, when the site's lost so quickly, is so very difficult because the Ts, they get all the time in the world to get those really dangerous post-plant positions. You don't know where they are. The Ts didn't still have a lot of utility left over because it was a fast round into that site as well, which makes your life much harder on the retake. So with your economy already so weakened, it's a sensible choice here for Immortals to try to just get this save going. But you can see that G2, they realize that right now they have Immortals in this position of weakness. Should they be able to get a couple kills, they'll stop Immortals from being able to do anything in the next round. Although it doesn't appear like they are really putting too much effort in going for a hunt. So they're more concerned, it seems, with just keeping everybody alive in this position. And for doing so, they're going to have a huge amount of money. The bank is swelling at the moment with cash. And Immortals, you cannot say the same for them. Cheeky Mag 7, they're on to Bolts. And a Famous onto KNG, but otherwise we'll just have saving players, I think, for Immortals. Yeah, it's not going too well for them all of a sudden.
Yeah, success was brief. So we'll see what they can do with what they saved from the previous round. I guess you'd want to get that Mag 7 at close quarters on Banana, but first you must survive the initial grenades. Small damage onto Bolts, and there we go, that close quarters. Sure, he wants to peek. There we go. Welcoming these T players. Perfect use of the Mag 7. Smoke off. He picks up the second smoke as well to delay even longer. And his team will no doubt come to try and collect some of those weapons. Some juicy AKs left. 5 versus 2. Perfect response. from Immortals.
Did G2 force it too much? That's really the question, isn't it? They felt very confident in getting the trade frag. They were denied, and then they invested that third player in trying to get the trade again. Just not... I mean, the bomb was lost there. I think that was ultimately where they started to really panic in this situation. So this one placement of a Mag 7 has turned it into a round-winning situation, potentially. Shock still alive, though. Able to take down KNG, but he's got a flank to worry about as well. Will he have any inkling as to that, or will they even try to push him? They may just try to contain Shocks. Won't matter. They picked up the rifles, and that will be a finish with 3 players left alive, 3 guns picked up. And it was only really the first round that looked successful for Immortals, and it was looking quite grim until round number 5 there. Didn't expect that one.
Yeah, I mean, that is a grenadable position. I don't know if they had identified that there was a Mag 7 in play in the previous round, but I think that's probably the most common position in that situation that it's going to be in, because they don't have everyone on grenades and you need to try and get a forward aggression with it. But there we go. AWP out for Henny and Kenny. That's going to be quite the duel. Lucas taking massive grenade damage straight off the bat. Still fighting for that banana area. The flashbangs, though, proved successful for the CT. And Henny doing what Henny does. Do you wonder if he will continue his aggression? I mean, it's a great start for Immortals. 5 versus 3. They can take a back seat now and leave G2 to stew. I wonder if Henny will go back to the well. Such an aggressive warpar. Might be hungry for more frags.
Funny thing here to me, actually, is just how aggressive both teams are being on Banana. And it's not even just, oh, here is some aggression, we're going to toss some nades and there'll be an exchange of shots. It's like a, they'll try to then retake it if they lose it, one of the teams, and then they'll keep fighting for it and fighting until people are dying. And for G2, they have had 2 players dying already. It's a nice HE onto Henny's position there, all the way down to 26 health for him. But you can see it is a last-ditch attempt at Hail Mary here from G2 into that B bomb site. They've managed to secure the bomb site itself, but Henny's done a smart thing. He's like, all right, you guys can have the site, you can have the plant. I'm just going to hold onto a forward position so that my teammates can have an easy time getting in position on the retake.
Kenny spotting information, but unable to pick off one of those 2 players. Moving into construction now, most of the CTs, but there's a very late rotation from Steel. Not believing that it was the B bomb site quite yet. All 3 players here for the Ts. Banana being checked by NBK. Shox has a nice angle, Kenny's got a nice angle towards CT. Shox covering his back, so it's a good setup here from G2, and it should have everything covered. Time ticking away. Lovely stuff. That crossfire working greatly. Shox now changing his position. Doesn't want to get pre-fight. They're wasting so much time, allowing Kenny to be the initial peeker. Great stuff from G2. What a glorious post-plant setup. Really smart stuff. Especially the temerity for Shox to just stand behind the pillar and allow them to peek Kenny first.
Yeah, I really like that. Just understanding that after taking that kill, they're going to be trying to just strafe out and kill him, and that his teammate gets an opening there, and just all that communication that's going on without communicating, as it were. Like Shox, like they understand how it's supposed to work, how you team play off of one another in that kind of situation. So another reason why GT is quite dangerous. The 3-3 making that push work up Banana, and I love this. I mean, you can see just the aggression from both teams once again. Neither team wants to give up Banana for free. Both teams willing to invest not only utility, but their players in an attempt to deny Banana. And G2, perhaps it's an assertion of dominance. They're saying, you know what, we're just going to keep pushing this until you guys just quit hammering it with utility, and until you just give it to us. We will not allow you to take anything. As Body goes for a contact play into the bomb site.
They would have heard him, though, make a connection with the Molotov. They know that somebody's close, and this is entirely plausible. The shoulder peek. CT's, though, he's stuck there now. He's got to fight, surely. Doesn't really have much help from any teammates. There's no flashbacks coming in from CT, and finally Henny goes down. Lucas didn't have much to do. He's got no flashbangs in his inventory, so had to leave his teammate to die. 4 versus 5 retake. There are flanks coming in. Apex is keeping the middle area open, but Shox is going to check it, but soon he'll be back towards B as well.
Very tough right now for Immortals, and they are trying to make or think about the decisions here that they can make. And you can see they've made that hardcore to go for the save. Again, they don't really have much utility for a retake. I don't think there's even a kit for a retake either, so time would be too much of an issue. And we see now that finally G2 are like, all right, let's send some players out on the hunt. Apex already in a position here to take down some saving players of Immortals. How successful will he be? Gets caught off guard. That's some information for his team, but they're all out of position. And I like how G2 here have basically decided, okay, we will invest one player to try and take down some saving players here. And obviously that was a very clear call that they made that we can see. But one thing as well to note for some of you guys at home is how a geometry advantage is working in this game. You can see the first player to go down on the bomb site was Henny. He was stuck in second oranges, I believe. And you had, I think it's Body or Apex kind of pushing from the pool position. And the player that's much further away from the corner gets the advantage to see more of the other person's model before they can see them. So you're always kind of screwed in that kind of engagement if you're just trying to hide anyway.
Looks like it'll be an apartment play from G2, or maybe they're just sending 3 in to clear it out, because I wouldn't expect Kenny to be running out of the balcony. But they seem pretty focused on this. 3 players towards B and the 2 towards A are all short, and indeed they're just going to walk out with no grenades, no warning whatsoever. The numbers game, something G2 have been abusing really well on their T sides in the previous weeks, is the numbers game. There's too many French players with sharp guns looking for headshots at any one position, and there's just not much you can do against that when you're on a CT side.
I think it's really interesting too, just how aggressive G2's approach has been insofar as I think it's hard to deal with if you're a team that expects your utility to do more, to give you more, when G2 are so willing to go down, like 1 or 2 players, to take that, they're so willing to sacrifice to take certain positions on the map, that you're then left in this spot where it's like, well, we try to use all our utility to beat them back there on Banana, but they keep coming. I don't even, we even got kills, but they keep trying to force their way in. How do you play against that style where the other team is just not afraid of you using utility, using smokes and molotovs, and was happy to push through it, play contact through it, rush through it, attack through it with their own utility, and try to get those trades. So it's a hard style to be up against. G2 have the players to do it because they're so skilled. And we'll see if there's any adjustment to be had here for Immortals. But so far, I like this bully approach. I don't know if you have a better term for it, James, but to me, it does look like G2 are trying to bully Immortals.
Apex hasn't got any kills yet. Not that he seems to need them right now. Maybe if there's more of a challenge later on, then he can just turn on. But in terms of yeah, with the numbers game, it's definitely you're cornered in the schoolyard by the French, and they'll make it work for them and not you. Immortals back with 5 players on the rifles, no AWP onto Henny. That is quite a disadvantage compared to their output at the best of times. 5 rounds for G2 to the 3 of Immortals. So beyond the pistol, really, Immortals have got 1 round at this point from 6. I think is the best way to look at how things are going and how they might continue in this half. Standard setup from Immortals, a 3-2, but they're playing the Crossfire deep in A. KNG is up deep on his own. As you can see, he's keeping an eye on things here. Once they start to run out of smokes, I do wonder if he'll move back. And again, he is an AWPer himself, so maybe we'll see him AWPing towards Library or something later on if Immortals can get their money in the right place.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note here too that I think potentially now that we see G2 going for a play towards apartments and middle, that they may even have expected that they would have conditioned their opponents to maybe even play 3 towards Banana at the beginning of the round, maybe invest a lot of utility at the beginning of the round, and that would be a really big win if they are going A. But here is the push, the execution of the set piece to see how successful it is. We've got Steel up here on the boxes on the bomb site. Really nice little crossfire there between him and Bolts, and they'll get a lot of damage done, but there's still more to be done. Here is Steel, will recede further back into the bomb site, awaiting more assailants here from G2, but they're sort of holding their ground at the moment. We see Kenny going down by Pit as now it's all on Mr. Shox. It's a hard situation. It's a great hold from Immortals. Ultimately, they read the play, they read the pressure, and they positioned and played off of it well. They looked comfortable.
If you keep an eye on the minimap when focusing on Immortals, when G2 are going for a push, Immortals really leave that last man behind on the other bomb site until they see the bomb. So as this progresses, you might in this replay you might see Lucas on B for the longest time. Like you can see the bomb down. Obviously, it's behind a smoke at the moment, but as we get deeper into the round. He's still on the B bomb site, so that late rotation from the last man may have something to a role to play in the coming rounds. Maybe it works out for Immortals, maybe it doesn't. We haven't really seen so many fakes from G2 just yet. I mean, once the meat and potato to the push comes in, that's pretty much it. Third player rotating towards A from B for Immortals. Only one round behind G2. So they're still very capable of having a nice CT half. Henny back on the AWP. Flashbang comes in. But you see, he's in a position to reposition already. However, the jump is missed. And now they're stuck in an awkward position where he's not where he wants to be. And he can't get to that kind of plan B position either. The smoke will certainly help.
Oh, did Body getting the tag through the smoke there, straight into the face of Lucas. And indeed, you're correct. Henny very worried about how he positions there, expecting the French to just push at any moment. Although that will not be the case. It looks like they're satisfied with the pick-off that Body got. And of course, this has caused Immortals to rotate one player to B, weakening the overall A defense. And now, considering that, G2 go for the wrap onto A. Getting caught, though, is Steel. A nice flash initially, but it will not save him. And now that leaves Bolts alone. Apex jumping out of the balcony, looking for that player in the pit. And that will be the A-bomb side taken over. A hard situation again on the retake here for Immortals. Henny with the AWP, KNG with the M4. They still have utility, but they may consider saving it for the next rounds, as this is a very intimidating setup to play against.
On a small note, it was nice target selection by Steel. He had two opponents, so one was flashed, one wasn't, so he took out the player who, or tried to take out the player who wasn't flashed first. It's a nice bomb timer at the top. Fading red line.
So what do you think about the bomb plant, James? They had, obviously, it does allow them to save in pit, but I guess and their money is pretty low, so...
What do I think about the bomb plant?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Right in the corner there. You can
the
see
position
it
of it?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the map control you have, but you know, it allows you to be in pit, allows you to be in the balcony position, allows you to be on site, you could be in graveyard. So it's pretty, you're very exposed if you try to defuse that as a CT, essentially.
Yeah, because they had a choice. They could have planted it anywhere they wanted, and they chose to stick it there, so...
Yeah, I think most of the time they're going to be moving up short. Well, they're going to plant with possession of pits. So that side of the bomb site will favour them because it leaves the CTs the most exposed. 2-round lead for G2. Immortals fighting mostly with what they saved in the previous rounds, trying to avoid those initial grenades, and Henny's out of there immediately taking some damage. And one challenge for Henny, if he's forced away from his most ideal position, how does he take up another spot without getting flashed off his angle immediately by the G2 team? Because they can flash over the roof here, and he's pretty much guaranteed to get flashed.
Going for the smokes and the flashes indeed. Oh, how did that not actually get a kill? Very unlucky for Henny. He won't mess up the second time, though. Does get a fatal shot onto Body, but he'll get traded immediately. One frag, which he'll be very sad about, as it could have been two. Or perhaps he feels as though it should have been two. And the bomb will go down. Another very fast take of the bomb site. And this really makes a very big difference. Typically, you can see the CTs being in a spot where with correctly timed flashes and counter grenades, that they can delay the Ts from getting that bomb plant down. And it buys so much time for the CTs defending on A to start rotating and getting into position to get a retake going. But G2 commonly seem to be just taking a bomb site so incredibly quickly that just makes retakes so impossibly hard. So another situation where Immortals are trying to save. We've seen this so often due to how quick G2 are taking bomb sites.
It's an interesting challenge for Henny because, again, new Inferno is very different to old Inferno in terms of CT aggression and what you can do towards A, pushing apartments and so on. It's a lot riskier than it used to be. So at the moment, Henny is getting flashed off pretty much every angle. He's spending most of his time repositioning to something less ideal. And then as you saw there, he gets stuck in the corner. I mean, yes, he should have had more frags. I don't know what happened to that one, but G2 are making life very, very difficult for him and kind of flashing him out of the game. So we'll see what Immortals can do about that. I mean, if he gets into his forward position on Banana, then maybe he can do something. But even then, he gets flashed. Just like his first position, second position, third position, flash, flash, flash. And then G2 have a numbers game, and even if you kill one, you're probably going to get traded.
Oh, G2 play. Oh, very nice.
Oh my god.
He fast.
Oh my god.
NBK's Beastman, and he will be trying to gather some information there as well. He didn't see anything else, and this round is a lot about getting information. They know they're against a weakened economy. They know that the Immortals side will be on mere pistols, and obviously these they'll have detected there's no helmets, there's no Kevlar, and as I'm trying to explain this, the round's basically over as they have managed to finish on a bomb site of choice. And it's so important as well, you know, if you're a team looking to come up, looking to improve, it's so important in rounds like this when you know the opponent's economy is very weak and they're going for a save, to have one go on a Mac 10. If somebody died in the previous round, get him a Mac 10. It means that, you know, you can have an expendable player who can gather information, he can find safe passage, he can find a stack, he can jump around corners, and the Mac 10 is really effective if they don't have helmets. So
no X-ray. I needed to see this.
Nice. That is so fast.
I felt like he just randomly pre-fired it because it was so fast. Like, is that how fast he is? That's insane.
I think that shows you how important visualization is. It improves your reaction speed a huge amount, and it takes a lot of focus to do that.
What visualization is on the next Seeker round, but for now it's the fire round for both sides. KNG picking up the AWP, so we see a change in approach now again. He's been essentially forced off the AWP towards the B bomb site because they're just flashing him for days. You see G2, they're trying to find people out of position again, but at least they've cleared out Banana. KNG will be probably a nasty surprise in fairness. He's a pretty strong AWPer. That is a very tight angle, however. So G2, they've got some fact finding to do, and there's an arch smoke from second mid. And they get the first pick towards Graveyard on Steel, but instantly smoked off by the CTs.
Pretty good so far. Very fast positioning tries to be taken here by G2 into quad. Bolts denies it. Quad though, taking down body, but has to recede further back into the bomb site. And meanwhile, still harassment towards the B bomb site from Shox. He's trying to get an entry over there, as you can see on the middle right of your screen, although it was not successful, leaving NBK and Apex to have to can open this bomb site here on the other side of the map. A must be a success, and Apex is going to allow for the bomb plant with that kill of bolts. A 2v3 after plant again for them.
Lucas and Henny moving towards that arch position, and Apex is doing God's work with this P250. Can't get into the pit, but NBK will clear out the rest. NBK looking pretty damn sharp today, and that's the first game of the entire tournament, really. So that is dangerous stuff if you're not a G2 fan. 9-4 in favor of G2. Immortals unable to get much going, unable to string any rounds together at the moment. It's 4 in a row now for G2. And Immortals are left with a force buy, 2 FAMASs, UMP, and some pistols here and there. Meanwhile, it's all good in the hood for G2. Kenny on $10,500, and the rest are not poor by any means. Immortals once again starting with 3 players towards B, and a double short setup, and it might be raw peaks from the G2 side. Numbers game again, almost a triple peak there. And what can you really do in this situation?
Yeah, I love this style of play from G2. Again, this is a great style generally, or sort of strategy, I could say as well, that you could apply to any sort of anti-force buy, anti-eco round where you want to try to play heavily on trades and the numbers, because you just have so many innate advantages, and they don't have the multiple spray down potential in as much as if they had a lot of rifles. So it becomes a little bit more safe as well to take that approach. And the momentum that G2 have is pretty unreal because they keep playing these fast rounds. It seems as though whenever there's a bomb site take attempt, it's very fast. Whenever there's a retake attempt from the CTs, it feels like if there's like going to be 3 CTs coming in on the retake, it feels like they always just die at once somehow. Like everyone just it's just so quick. And that's a style, that's a pace that G2 are very, very confident in. So
great control.
10-4 now. Yeah, it's been a very fast game so far.
It's quite a skill to start shooting before you aim at someone and then spray control and kill them. Because you can very easily get lost doing it that way. It's quite the skill to have. It's nice. Immortals left with not much to fight with. The Mag 7 is back out on this last round of the first half. Back to a standard setup for Immortals, but again, not much has really worked out for them. Forced away from Banana once more, and almost the entire G2 team is here. If they were to push, then NBK could be the cutoff through mid. But no, they're just establishing the map control towards B, and that'll do the same towards A, trying to force the CTs away and kill them on the way if they're too far forward. Deny them as much information as possible. Make those rotations as late as possible. It's a great shot from NBK once again. And he moves straight into the pit area. He will expect somebody towards short. Easy for NBK. 2 plays left for the CT side. From the B bomb site, you can see Shox. He will hear the rotation, and the rest of his team can position themselves accordingly.
Oh, it's the last round, so this time there's no saving. Have to go for it. And we'll see what they can do with these guns. Deagle unsuccessful. The UMP good for the trade, though, onto Apex, but he will be flanked, and that will be that. 11-4 for the first half. G2 dominance, and in every facet of the word. I mean, the thing is that G2 were able to force their game style onto Immortals, and it felt to me as though Immortals struggled to sort of make the adjustments that you need to make. And I think it's hard against G2 because they're just, again, their skill level is what allows them to bully you.
Pistol time. So perhaps Immortals will be able to set the pace now they have the freedom of the T side, but this will be a very crucial round. And again, this is one of the rounds where G2 could still go nuclear and just get hyper aggressive. They've got the USPs, they want that range. So maybe fights will be had. 3 players towards the B bomb site for the CTs. And they're just sitting in the site. Shox looking for info, spotting lots of players, but he definitely wants to get the hell out of dodge. Oh my god, Lucas. I don't know how he's not dead.
Yeah, I guess that must be a dink, right? That must have been a headshot.
But why isn't he dead?
It's quite a close range with the PT-1000. Interesting.
I don't understand why he's not dead. Unless it shot him through the corner of the wood on his end. But anyway, they're pushing into the A side. There are only 2 players here for the CT side. And only 1 kill for Shox. He's taken out NBK, doing the best he can. Maybe he bought some time for his team. You see Body coming up short, and the last 2 moving through apartments. They're walking at the moment, and now they've been spotted. Bombs on the floor, 2 versus 3. Lots of time, no plant pressure for Immortals. Picked up the bomb, and they can go for the bomb now.
Yeah, it's not an easy spot. That was a must-win. Okay, they know. Okay, they know this is going to be planted now. You can see that Apex was actually like, wait, the bomb has not been planted yet. Maybe it's going to be B, but now he knows he's coming back. However, Kenny S and Apex, they have no idea where these 2 players could possibly be. So they have to take quite a lot of gambles here when they all expose themselves to multiple angles at once. They gotta just go for the guess here and see if they can make it work. Apex, though, coming in from a good approach there, and it looks like he might be successful. Finds 1 player. Henny, though, takes down Kenny S, who also was trying to bear down upon his position, and that's going to be 2 frags for Mr. Henny. That's a good way back into this one, taking the pistol, but that's the 2nd pistol they've won, actually, although last time they were unable to convert on the anti-force buy. Let's see if this time is different.
So maybe this is a quick time for you to explain what visualization is.
Yeah, so anybody who's ever been in the zone when you're hitting that flow state, one thing that you'll notice is you have like this crazy level of focus, and you're always kind of seeing things happen before they happen. So that's one way to describe visualization. It's something that a lot of professional athletes, they do inside and outside of the game, and it's something that subconsciously you can kind of train and condition yourself to do as well. When you're sort of trying to see the situation happen, it's like see yourself connecting the shots, see yourself be successful, because you know what to expect before it quite happens. And it's something that gives your brain sort of context and allows you kind of prime yourself to be just boom ready for something. It aids your reaction times, and it's something that if you want to be very good, it's something you need to look into, and it helps. It does help a lot. Again, I think anyone who's ever been in the zone can really they know what that's like. It's almost as though everything, like, you can't even explain what you're doing sometimes. But yeah, I think that would explain how MBK can be so fast there. And they are not having too much success due to so far with these pistols.
Bomb has been dropped, which means rotation for the CTs, but KNG is coming in from the back to clear things out. Shox and Body staying over towards the B bomb site for the time being, so it looks like they will try to live to fight another day, or at least if Immortals go for the hunt, then they can collect something. So we'll see what Immortals choose to do. Again, it's you do look at risk reward in varying situations, forced by Ecos and so on. Mainly Ecos, like if you have an AWP and you're chasing people who have P250s, then they can lose $300. You can lose 6,000, things like that, to be considered. So Immortals Not going crazy hunting for these players, but not going to make it easy for them either. So I am looking forward to seeing Immortals on the T side with the AWP in play. They've got enough rounds off the board. They've kept G2 honest. 11 rounds is not too many for the time being, so we'll see what Immortals have to bring to the table. But then again, we'll also see if G2 will allow them to bring anything to the table, or if they'll go for an aggressive play, maybe on Banana or something. Time will tell, but first comes the eco round for G2. Shox has a flash. There are 2 5.7s. Hope and a prayer. Maybe a P250 onto Apex. Will they send the numbers in one direction? Indeed, they will. 4 players towards B.
Yeah, and Bolts is a guy for Immortals who has the Mac 10. So I'm curious as to where he will decide to go. He is currently with Henny on Banana, so he could be trying to get the info towards B here. Ooh, there's a flash, they know what's coming. Spray down here, that's ruthless from Henny. Bolts are standing there for ages. He's just pumping all the bullets straight into his back. Brilliant. Why not? Brilliant. It's worked out as a 4v1, so they can't complain too much. Oh my god, that's ruthless. Henny's ruthless, man. He's ruthless. I will have these kills.
Well then, it's time to get to the business end. The buy round for both sides. Kenny versus Henny. Actually, Hen won, but he doesn't mind Henny. Hen won, Lucas won.
Lucasy. Gotta have consistency, Lucasy. Man. Consistency.
All right then. Lucas, second mid, throwing a Molotov into the apartments, trying to stop any fast plays from the CTs. It is a risk though, even to jump past that window, because how common grenades are. You see G2, they'll settle for possession of top Banana. That will buy some time for the team. And G2, they're going to send a 4th player towards B or A, sorry. Or maybe not. Shox going backward and forward on the Speedway. He's got flashes though, so he can hold that position and flash into pool should it be required. In the meantime, Immortals looking to take apartments away. G2 very forward. Top mid. See NBK's position. Not afraid to duel, but he'll lose to the UMP of all things.
UMP in these ranges, man, is pretty good, and it's one of the reasons why you don't see CTs venture into the apartments quite as much these days. It's quite difficult to win fights there, the meta game with the UMPs, as well as just the opened up corridors and no bedroom for you to play with. And there's a nice pick off. Apex going for a forward play. He knows he's got to take a risk, but that will be his downfall, and now that's going to commit his teammates into going for a save. There is nothing you can do from this position for G2. So this is exactly what Immortals needed. They managed to win that pistol. They're managing to convert against the first buy round of G2, and you can see the gap on the score is closing quite somewhat, but we are yet to see that patented double AWP setup, the Shox Kenny S double AWP, that I think is likely going to arrive as soon as G2 gets some money. So probably in 2 rounds after the next round, I would imagine, as they get that max loss bonus going for themselves as well. But can Body hold on to this? He's... Oh dear. KNG creeping up like a ninja there. Undetected.
Well, finally there's 1 kill for the CT side. Could have been more. Look at the damage onto Henny. Almost the AWP loss there. That's never an expense you want to have to afford. 3-round lead for G2. There is a tactical timeout coming from G2. Good to see those being used. So the game has been paused for the time being. Henny, 13 kills for his team. Very likely to be going upwards. Body delivering once again. As much as Body gets attention, I still feel like there's like a new wave, if you will, of players joining the old names. And it'll take them a while to be as revered. Obviously, they won't have the history to go along with it. I think Body's still using my mouse. I hope he's dusted it, because I had an EC2, but I use EC1 because I've got massive hands. So I prefer the larger version.
Well, you just gave your mouse to him?
Yeah.
He didn't give it back?
No, because he needed it for this tournament.
Oh.
Yeah. See, I'm a bro. I'm a bro.
Oh, fair enough.
Not just in complexion.
Yeah, I need to I need to buy a second mouse, the same one that I'm using.
You should do that.
So that I don't get wrecked at a tournament.
I have 3 easy ones. I can say that because Xavier is sponsoring the stream.
Nice. I didn't say what I was using. All right.
See, look at us. We're so professional, man.
So we have the pistols out for G2, and at the moment they are just playing fairly passively. They're not really doing anything too special, not stacking or anything like that. They have one player floating, which is actually Shox at the moment, going back from B towards the A side of the map. So I guess you could say there is somewhat of a stack towards A here. 2 Arch, 2 Pit sides. And Immortals are still trying to work out what's going on. Again, it would be great for them. Obviously, you know, in a situation where it just didn't work out, but if you can have a Mac 10 around like this, it does help dramatically. Because it really feels sometimes quite difficult to take some of these corners with a rifle when you know there could be a pistol lurking in any position, which is why you want to use utility to do that job for you. You get the Molotovs, the flashes, that can be very helpful in these spots to clear out some of the more finicky positions. And going into A, there can be players behind every crate, behind all these crazy corners, graveyard. There's so many spots in the pit as well. That helps though. A smoke kill, that's what you want to see if you are on Immortals right now. And the action begins. And perhaps it's soon to end as well, as there's Shox left. So thank you. It's over. Now we can get into the juicy stuff, James. I believe double ops must be coming, surely. Surely.
I do wonder about the double because
yes, there it is.
Because I mean,
they love it, man.
I feel like on B you need to look at what the T approach has been in the rounds prior and how effective you can be around that approach with the AWP. So we'll see how it works out. I mean, G2 they've had little trouble getting the top of Banana under control. So will Immortals start slow to see if there's a change from G2? There was a tactical timeout as well, and that gap, I mean, surely there'll be a flashbang as well, but you never want gap stand. But almost never. Sometimes you do.
Yep.
But not in Counter-Strike.
Sometimes you can mind game people with it in Counter-Strike. It's like, look, it's my failed smoke, and then they're like, oh, a failed smoke, I'll try to abuse it. But you know they'll try to abuse it, and it's like Shox was unsuccessful in his abuse of his opponents with the AWP so far. But they're just so notorious for this, and even in spots in the past where there was a match against FaZe, I think it was in particular, where they were just doing the double AWPs even though it just wasn't working out for them. They just really like this setup, so it's going to be. And again, this is what I mentioned in the pregame a little bit too, is that Immortals will know that they'll be doing this on their CT side, so they should have some plans in mind. Heavy smoke play, take those bomb sites quickly. That can be the answer.
48 seconds left as Immortals put more people in the apartment area. That smoke is soon disappearing. See, there's a CT on the balcony. MBK forced to move back, flashes all around. He's going to get taken down. Kenny towards Arch, picking Henny off in the meantime. Not sure if anybody's top mid, so he's really afraid that there could be a push, a flank perhaps from the T's in the meantime. Damage being taken by bombs, but Arch has been smoked off and a bomb can get planted.
And this is where the AWPs are very weak. As I mentioned, if you can take the bomb sites very quickly, get the after plant situation, you have this spot where it's like, we have 2 AWPers, they're actually kind of low. The AWPers aren't really dynamic in a retake situation. It only works, I think, like okay when there's not many players left on the T side in this after plant situation. So they're just going to go for a save. And because they're going to be 4 men strong and they'll have that big loss bonus, they'll have no problem having the fullest of buy rounds in the next round. So like, all right, guys, we'll just try it out for the next round. And this is where G2 have potential weakness, is that they can be predictable. In my opinion, in a lot of the ways that they play or like to play, you can see some of the formulas they like to operate with, and you can be like, okay, we know they're going to go for double AWPs.
This was really awkward for Kenny, because once he gets this shot, he has a lot of potential to do more from there, but he's completely exposed to top mid, so he has to go back towards the Arch position there to cover himself. But if he takes a gamble, then maybe there's a way back into the round for G2. But they opted for, I mean, they have a round advantage, so they went a more conservative route. But there were 2 choices, A or B. Chose B, and indeed they are back on the buy. The UMP for MBK, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I think he's bought for himself, it seems. So, but I mean, that keeps their money together for future rounds. Although I don't think it makes a difference if. Yeah, I think it was UMP or FAMAS ultimately, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they wanted everybody else on the team to have full grenades. Ooh, Shox got tagged, got legged there on Banana, so that's annoying. That kind of forces him to be more passive. And they should realize, Immortals should realize also that they got a leg. So I wonder how they'll approach the situation. If they'll try to nade shocks, or if they'll just say, you know what, we've got the pressure in, we will have forced them back, we can leave a player up here. Bolts can basically keep that space at top banana, and if the CT try to retake it, he can likely get a frag, he can get the information, and it gives his team an option to go to double back towards banana later on.
That's a really nice looking flower, it must be said. No one, don't at me. It's a nice flower. 50 seconds remain. 2 T's top mid, so now we might start to see some fakes from Immortals. KNG and Lucas harassing, and that's drawing Apex out towards Arch. So it's going to be a play towards A and B at the same time, it seems. Flashbangs though, and Lucas is the one to get caught. No bomb spotted for G2, no rotation from the side. They are holding steadfast with 30 seconds left.
Yeah, not ideal to lose the man, and I like that KNG decided to just sack that effort and go back to join the push. And the rotation, though, this fake situation has not worked out. It's taken a long time to get into the bomb site. We have a fast rotation in from G2. They're starting to pinch in from CT spawn. Body's doing some good damage, doing some good delay here. A double for him ultimately, leaving just Henny alone. And he will get sprayed down to the very fast rotation that came in. Apex at the head of that rotation. And that's going to be the 12-10 for G2 as they pick up their first buy rounds. And Immortals, an interesting spot for them, and we can see that G2 will not be on the double orb here. They're just going to obviously play the egg. I mean, that would be horribly detrimental to their economy at this point, so I'm glad to see that. Oh, Immortals going double orb.
I think Immortals might have been looking for a wrap towards B in that previous round with 2 people there, because I think they might have tried to fake with 1 otherwise. Either way, it didn't work out for them, and indeed, I think this is where KNG or Henny are most comfortable. Now, Henny's even more comfortable. Body taken down in response, but while I have a second, you know, they're both AWPers primarily. Oh my god, the abuse just through the smokes, everyone's dying. 3 versus 2, what is going on?
Minus James, while I have a second.
While I have a second, everyone's dead. Well, we've got 1 player in the B8 bomb site, which is Kenny. He's buying time though for the rotation, the bomb spotted as well. And now he could just be the distractor. He could be the bait, leaving Steel completely exposed. Apex through library to take him down. Very simple play, but very effective play by G2. And what I was going to say was, Henny and KNG are both primarily AWPers, right? So I think if you can opportunistically pick a second one up, then maybe you're playing your team at the most comfortable. Though double ops on Inferno is very, I think it forces you to be extremely picky. And they just got spammed by grenades, man. They got spammed by grenades, they got spammed through smoke, just cans of spam being forced through their letterboxes.
Yeah, it was tough. It's something that you don't even see really G2 do all that often here on the Inferno T side. Double orbs. It's a hard life. Henny looking for the pick though. Knows G2 want to be aggressive. Looking for the spam through the wall there. Doesn't work for him though just yet. And G2, they're looking still like they want to get aggressive. They continue to... That's a pretty delayed smoke grenade deep onto banana, as though they want to trap players here. And Bolts will get trapped behind that, in front of that smoke, and he will be eliminated. And now the question is, how many players will stay behind that smoke? Is it 1? Is it 2? It's always that mind game. And right now, Immortals probably feel committed to go A.
There's still a minute on the clock as those smokes dissipate, and G2 always with the brave rotations, putting 4 people in the A bomb site. G2, one of the teams who always actively, you can see it in their play, always trying to actively read what their opponent is up to, especially when G2 are on the CT side, and it allows them to create fortresses like this on the A bomb site. They still have the crossfire deep in towards A, and yet they still have the extra person to hold down the Arch position.
Yeah, the Arch guy makes that setup so strong indeed. And to try to frag these guys in the site, you have to peek so deep and you're exposed to so many angles, it's hard to know where to actually look. Lucas goes around, they're almost pre-firing it. Doesn't get it though, it's MBK. Falling off the box now, going for the peek. He knows it's been discovered. And a series of frags will result in a plant here for Immortals. Oh, Henny with a miss there. He started to move before he shot. Maybe there's an opportunity now for Mr. Body. Body has so much clutch to him. So it's definitely a doable situation. He's got a smoke grenade if he wants to use it as well. Tagged through the barrel there. Just minimally, though. thankfully for him. That's a nice first shot from him. Can't find the second, though. And that will be the round for Immortals. A painstakingly won round with so much tragedy along the way, but they did clinch it in the end.
3 kills in that round for Body, as much as you could ask for him. From him, rather. But G2, they're still in the lead, but now the money is starting to get tight. 2 rounds ahead, are they? And their loss bonus is in the bin. It's in the bin. Starting again with 3 players towards B, which is very common. That third person using their initial smoke grenade and then rotating back towards A, so the re-smokes can come in for pretty much a minute. Immortals will be staring at smokes for a while. In the meantime, they can try to clear out the apartments. An unusual position from Kenny, and that's the kind of unusual position that maybe gets them a kill, maybe gets them ahead when they really need it.
Yeah, you don't expect it too often. Well, maybe Immortals have been doing their homework. Maybe they do expect this from Kenny. Ooh, there's that wide peak. Hard shot for Kenny. Won't connect it this time. As Lucas will get a smoke in there towards Quad for some additional pressure.
That smoke's going to leave a massive gap on the corner, though. But if you're standing behind the bricks, then yes, it will obscure you, but by no means does it cover Quad. It's actually very hard to get a good smoke, into short from inside apartments. I've spent hours trying. It's a lovely pop flash from G2 to have a peek. Classic flash on Inferno. Oh, caught out of position. Shoxy was not expecting that one. Thought it was safe. It wasn't safe. It's a trade there. No trade necessary. Box for 2K.
Apex on the side there with a UMP, able to get one back. Oh, taken down through the smoke. So many smoke kills of late. And now we have the 2 CTs trying to save. And KNG is going to take down Kenny. Yes, that's the AWP stolen away. And now things get interesting here for Immortals. They, again, were suffering a very dominant G2, but now things are starting to even up as MBK tries to save his mere UMP. But perhaps he'd be better geared towards trying to steal away a gun here, getting some additional exits. You can see the money is not perfect for Immortals, nor is it perfect for G2, though. And this is an interesting situation, actually, because it did feel as though G2, they played the round really well. It was just obviously an amazing opportunist play from Bolts to get that spray onto Shox, and then all of a sudden we saw Body actually missing from shots, positioning himself around the side of the smoke. I think a lot of the times, you know, he's going to at least get that first guy, and then it can kind of snowball from there. But it was very well played by Bolts at the same time to very swiftly deal with Body and punish G2. 13-12 is what G2 are looking at now. You can see that they're looking a little bit more serious now, very focused.
Yeah, it is the Swiss system. But nobody wants to get Swiss cheesed.
What does what does that mean?
Well, Swiss cheese has got loads of holes in it, right?
Well, okay,
and we're firing guns, you know.
All right.
You don't want to get Swiss cheesed up.
Oh god!
Oh,
what?
That's a bad miss. It did some damage. It did some damage.
That did some significant.
But it must be said, it was a bad miss.
That's so ridiculous. Straight on the door hinge.
The most common one where that happens is on cash, when you're trying to throw a Molotov off the corner of the wall in towards checkers. And sometimes it just bounces straight back at you, but at least it won't leave you with 78 health. Just quietly move away and pretend it never happened. 1 minute on the clock for Immortals, a pop flash top mid, but they are around the corner, the CT side. We've got double peek on both sides. This could get nasty.
Kenny is lurking around the smoke. Shox as well, pushing forwards, finds himself a quick finish there with the help of his teammates. But in the flurry of bullets, the smoke is settled, and Immortals have won the rounds. 13-13, they've tied it up. It's been a very long grind to get to this point, but they finally made it. But can they close down the game? Because they definitely have the momentum right now. G2 are struggling a little bit. They certainly have their own, you know, monetary woes to deal with currently, and Immortals' temerity, their composure, their equanimity has certainly been paying off. I learned that word from Tasteless. Equanimity.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fabulous, Dan. That is
Years
fantastic.
Ago, one of his
what else have you learned from Tasteless?
Nothing.
Okay. Henny's got awesome hair. He's got like rock star hair. If I had hair like Kenny, I'd always have a guitar with me. You never know, man.
What, when you need a guitar?
Are you in the band? Why, yes, I am.
No, I just carry this guitar around.
Could you play a song for me? Well, it's, you know, the guitar's very delicate. I don't know if I could do that. 13-13, G2 on pistols. It looks like they are imminently to lose their lead, the lead they've held almost from the start. This is a round of discussion, a round for reflection, to look to the past, to maybe help the future for G2. They will chat amongst themselves during this round and try and figure out what they can do in the next ones. They'll have, what, 2,900 after this round? Should they lose it? You never know if they might win it. We've seen rounds won with less. There we go. So we have the Molotov on the corner. I think people are missing a trick here, because they had a Molotov on the corner, they had a Molotov behind sandbags, but this is a very obvious position, especially when people are on an eco or a force buy. You want to be close range with pistols and or like a Mag 7 or something, and you can easily throw a HE grenade off that wall, and that will do colossal damage, especially when there's no armor on a round such as this. Just throw HE there, and also you will hear the collision, so it will give you a clue if somebody's there or not. And to add to that, if you have an AWPer, then it could be, let's say, towards tree, and just you hear the collision, you can shoot through the wall. You probably kill 2 people. Yeah,
I mean, that Mag 7 round from Immortals, that really bailed them out of having a horrendous first half. It was still a rough one, but they appear to be remedying that on their own T-half so far. Yeah, I did wonder that as well, you know, with that, like, that the Mag 7 was allowed to do so much damage from that spot. As you said, like, they Molotov pretty much everything else. So you'd expect them to be like, okay, it's even spammable. They had the entire team there as well. So that's definitely one of those rounds where it's really sad for you to lose in that way, because you feel as though you lost because you didn't prepare for everything. And that's the name of the game on an anti-force buy, is, you know, preparation. We're going to prepare to basically make this as safe as possible, deal with all the most dangerous positions. And we'll see now that Immortals are very close to closing down this round. Kenny S has managed to steal away an AK-47, which he will be able... Oh, I thought he could save that, actually. That's, I mean, one well-placed bullet there, and you had the element of surprise. He still dies, and he lives and keeps the AK, but that really sucks for Kenny. He could have dropped that for a teammate.
Immortals in the lead. There's no pause, no tactical pause. But again, I mean, they had lots of time to talk during those rounds anyway, the G2 side. So what do they have? They've got a good buy in this round. Kenny's on the AWP, the rest of them on rifles. Only NBK with the silenced M4. We've seen the odd player here and there move towards the M4, A4 over the silenced weapon, but not NBK. He is comfortable in his silence. G2 starting with 4 players towards the B-bomb site. I don't know if this is a grenade issue, speaking of which, they are taking some significant damage, but they will get banana for their woes for the time being, and maybe they will have extra grenades with which to lock it out. Immortals slowly moving through the apartments, a pilgrimage towards A.
Yeah, and it's quite common that you'll see Body actually toss the first smoke, and they'll leave like 2 guys there, and then they can keep that aggression going on Banana with the 3 smokes in total, because you can't as easily smoke from mid as you used to be in the old Inferno. So that's what teams tend to try to do if they want to have that deep Banana control. But actually G2 playing a bit more passively here. They've got they have actually no, it looks like they have gone for the deep Banana smoke. We have the creep on Banana happening at the moment, and 4 players towards A. So G2 set up pretty decently to try to deal with an A rush, which is probably what Immortals want to do, considering that they have no presence towards Banana right now. And with this amount of time left on the clock, it's too risky to go back and do that now. So they have to go towards A. And G2 have so much information because of Banana control. They know this is coming.
Body playing the arch position, but they've got the extra man here. The silencer for not really doing a job, but Shops can follow up almost with the 3K. Massive damage onto both teams, and that's Kenny left towards the B bomb site. 1 versus 2. They need to get that bomb down ASAP. They've got the smoke towards Arch. Kenny's got 1 flash, but really this is a bad situation for him to start things off in. Henny's probably heard the jump out of apartments, out of library, sorry. Picking up the M4, probably a smart choice. Henny jumping by accident, but Steel will finish off the job. That could have been really unfortunate for Immortals. But here we are. They've got match point now. 13-15. to 13. G2 don't have much. Well, they've got around $4,000 actually, so they'll get a reasonable buy out of this. But the margin for error is nil.
I thought this is open and shut after that first half. I was like, right, well, G2, they've come here to stomp Immortals. They've stomped Immortals, and everyone's going to go home. But no, really nice second half from Immortals, just showing that ultimate confidence in their own play. And they've really been grinding it out here against G2. Full respect for that. And now they're just one round away from closing it down. And again, like in the Swiss system, it's so important to get those. So every single win is absolutely crucial. We'll see, though, whether Immortals can indeed close it down. They've got very light banana presence at the moment. G2 not being that aggressive, and one of the reasons is likely due to the fact that they don't have that much, well, they don't have enough money to have full utilities, so they don't want to invest it early on in aggression and then be left with nothing later into the rounds.
Shock starting to move towards the A bomb site once again on that minute mark. And if they do have to head back towards the B bomb site, he doesn't have any flashes to throw into pool for Body, so Body will have to be dependable, as Body is. And Bolts is still over towards B, so he may look to get an entry. He's been left there with 4 Ts towards A. That's the push. NBK looking for some info, but the Molotov almost doing the job. NBK jumping around the corner of the UMP, and he gets himself an upgrade on the AK. That's not good news for Immortals.
No, it's really not. The only thing that really, again, works in their favor is that GT don't have a utility left at this stage in the round, but they have themselves not really all that much utility, so maybe that's not even an advantage at this point. Shock's going for the peak, wins the battle against Bolts. Then he plays towards B, shut down. KNG, though, wrapping around Arch side, needs to find a fast frag here. It's too late, but it takes too long. Too much chaos, and now it's just Lucas, but not for long. 14 rounds for G2. Are we going to have an overtime in the first best of one here today at the major qualifier? That would be a great way to start things off, to set the tone for the rest of the major qualifiers.
That must be really frustrating for KNG. If he picks off that pit player, there's no crossfire to stop the short players, but they focus on the pit player because he failed, then they get shot in the back from the site, and it all collapses. However, Immortals had lots of money in the bank. They had at least one player on more than $10,000, so they'll have no issue with the full buy for the last round of normal time. Again, G2 starting with 3 players towards the B bomb site. Late on, there was a 2-man rotation back towards B to put 3 people there, which allowed KNG to get through Arch in the first place. Bolt's unable to get anything done towards B. I say that though, he did pull 2 players in that direction, and that in itself is job done. Standard start at this point for G2. 20 seconds away from that 1-minute mark. We'll see if Shock starts to rotate once again. Immortals creeping up top mid. They've got Steel in the apartments, and indeed, Shox is on the way towards A at minute 10. Top mid cleared out. How far back can they force these CTs?
Yeah, maybe GC don't want to give up these 4 positions as easily. Indeed, Shock standing his ground towards the Arch side area. Picks up one, still holding on to Arch side, but it will be regressed here now as Immortals come in with more grenades. Shock's repositioning to Library to try to be on the same level as his teammates, but they are getting absolutely bombarded by grenades at this point. MBK is pretty much alone right there on the bomb site, eventually taken down. Shock's, though, still in action by Library side, waiting out those Molotovs. And it leaves Steel on 12 points of health. How does he do this? He collects the bomb, but this is quite the task.
CT's creeping around the corner, hungry for the kill. The bomb's down, Steel 12 HP, 2 to find. The wide peak from Shox will be enough for overtime. G2 are not done just yet. NBK, Shox, and Body all around that 20 frag mark, as are Steel and KNG. So there's another opportunity. I mean, Immortals, they've had a lot of success on their T side, obviously, with that comeback, but who does momentum favor right now?
I don't know, but Apex is so animated this morning. It's good to see. And I mean, the thing I feel as though is that I feel like it really favors G2 a bit that they get to reset here, because I feel like their CT side really, that they started to sort of, lose a bit of confidence in it as time went on. Not getting any momentum. Immortals kept winning these rounds. There's a lot of shots missed from G2. They had a lot of good positions and good reads, but ultimately they couldn't convert. And so now we get that big reset button. Let's see how it goes for G2. We still have Immortals in a spot where they have renewed confidence after their first half, which was quite crushing. And now, banana control quickly for Boz. And G2, they've switched up their start to be generally a bit more passive.
So Apex doing his job from outside B to get that top banana smoke in and make his way back towards the arch position in more than good time. Minute 20, Henny has joined Bolts for some harassment towards top banana. Body playing a very awkward angle, and Shox can bait for his teammates as well. So if there is a push to come in from Immortals with less than 3-4 players, Body could get himself at least 2 frags from that position, especially with Shox in for support. But again, Body will be dependent on to fight on his own for the time being. But lots of times being wasted here. Bolts will be entertained by those smokes for a while. And now we see more tricky setups. Shox just, it's like enabling his players everywhere. Apex not going to be checked for. And again, it's just an easy kill. An easy response from G2.
Yeah, Henny on the creep here, but he will notice that Steel is gone. Nice flick shot there onto Kenny. Kenny now resting with all the books in the library. And he will make his way across here with the AK in hand now to be a bit more dynamic as he moves in for these entries. Where do you look? This is one of the most annoying spots to push into when you haven't got that information as to where the CTs could be standing. Is it left? Is it right? Is it in front? Looks like MBK will take down Balls. So now Henny's looking towards the pit position. Finds MBK. It's a very fast kill from him, but he will be exposed to Body. And that's the round for G2. 16-15, they'll pick up the first. And that will be obviously a relief to them. But Immortals, Immortals found a lot of success on that T half of theirs. They've got a lot to go to, a lot of ideas to go back to, that is.
I do wonder how effective Bolts is allowed to be mid to late rounds on the B-bomb site, because a lot of the time he gets into that corner behind the sandbags, but then he's just trapped there because there's loads of smoke, so he's not able to sell the fake and so on. Again, Body's there on his own, but there's so many smokes down in the meantime that it's kind of wrecking the timing to do anything towards B-bomb site. I mean, there was that one where they drew 2 players over, but that's the only round I can think of where G2 are not really having like 4 people on A when there's a push into A by Immortals. They took a timeout, Immortals, which is over now and will soon be back into the game. Henny hasn't bought just yet. He's standing there with a Glock, and it's going to be 5 AKs for Immortals. MR3, 3 rounds per half. 16,000. Is it $10,000? It's $10,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, $10,000 can get expensive pretty quickly. So let's see what Immortals do with Banana on this round. As per usual, it's Bolts and Henny with the initial harassment. But the smoke's still down top mid, so I think if they were a bit later, they'd get more mileage out of their grenades, and indeed instantly smoked back off, and they've just essentially wasted their utility.
And Body still here in position, waiting, looking for that. Oh my god, the timing there. Pulling out a grenade, and a nice boost from Bolt by Bolt's teammate to allow him to take the frag. And now this gets a little bit interesting. G2 had to pull a man, but Shoxy is just facing in the open. Bolts with another easy entry frag. The can opener of that B-bomb site. Apex able to trade back, but how much damage was done? He knows he has to take a risk. His teammate's too far behind. Going for it. Needs that 2K. Only gets to 1, but still, he does create a doable situation for his teammates as they come in on the retake.
Both coming in from the CT position. When Immortals started their rotation after Bolts' picks, they could have left somebody in second mid to cut off rotation down Banana, but now it's an unknown until they spot NBK. Indeed, that first frag makes life a lot easier, and it no longer matters. Still in a forward position towards construction, so there's only so much NBK can do. Looking for an opportunity, and maybe KNG will prevent one. Indeed, somehow doesn't walk straight in head first to that line of sight. Very nice adjustment from him. But indeed, Bolt's able to get something going finally on Banana.
Yeah, no, I feel like G2 have been taking overall a more passive approach. Obviously, Body did get caught at this just very inopportune timing. I think that is the moment when he decides, okay, I'm just going to fall back now from this position, and you know, I'm going to toss an A fullback, and he obviously gets caught at that exact moment. And then Shox is just facing right in the open there. I'm not sure what Shox's play was, what he was going for in that spot, but he did get caught out, and you know, from there, of course, it's going to fall apart. So now G2, now G2 in a spot where Immortals have equalized, and they're going to mix things up here, going very fast into top mid.
Yeah, but I do wonder if G2 had read this, because Apex hasn't thrown his normal smoke. He chose to rotate back to A faster instead, push through Banana in the meantime. But let's see what off defense can be mounted here. NBK with a grenade, killed the UMP, doing work as well. Kenny's in there for support, but he's exposed now, and he'll get taken down by KNG. The rotation coming in from top mid will take out Henny, leaving KNG on the site on his own, and he won't get that final kill into NBK, allowing G2 with a thin lead. I feel like, I don't know if it was what stopped Apex from doing his normal thing and moving back towards A faster than normal. I don't know if it was like a lack of grenades on Banana, but something went off in G2's head, and Apex went straight back towards A without throwing his smoke, and was in position. He kind of ran to his death essentially, but you know, G2 again being very active in the brains, which is always good in Counter-Strike.
I mean, I love the call from Immortals there, because G2 have opened so many rounds with 3 towards Banana. That's the counterplay. If they run that round, you're against 2 players on A, and the rotation's really far away. You can just win the round. It's a very strong counterplay. But as you said, it was G2 were able to find the right positions in time somehow. Very fortunate for them. Now we move into the second half. This is where G2 experience all the dominance, and with the round lead that they have, one would expect them to be able to close the game from this point. We'll see if Immortals, though, have learned something about how to play that CT side a bit better after regulation time.
Well, they've gone back to, well, I say gone back, they've gone to double AWPs. I mean, they're afforded it, quite literally. Henny, he was, you know, didn't have the greatest of times on his CT side of the AWP, was constantly flashed off, but there is a definite focus towards the A site at the moment for G2. Nobody in Banana whatsoever. And there we go, Steel only with 1 kill, but he's got some info for his team. Bolt's playing around smokes in the meantime, but he's exposed to the apartments, and he's blind. Surely there's a peek eventually coming in from Shox.
Great position here. Oh, Bolts is waiting for the perfect moment. Strikes gets himself to the third one coming easily as well. And that's a great cleanup. Very patient. Bolts praying, like gets blinded. It's like, please, please, no one peek me in this spot, please. And you can see absolutely gutted there. G2 in a spot where they've now just conceded that 1 round advantage that they had.
KNG has got a very forward spawn towards mid, and you don't often see very aggressive peaks down middle, but I do wonder if he's going to go for one. I mean, often you'll see people go no further than the pit position, so yeah, he's pretty much doing the same. Nobody going for the peak all the way down. No need to take risks at this point, 17-17.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. Because you can kind of sometimes just go for the coin flip, where it's like, okay, we might get a man advantage right at the start of the round, but if you as the CTs give up a man advantage right at the beginning of the round and you haven't used any of your nades yet and so on, it's so much worse for you. The risk is often not going to be worth it in some spots like this, where it's so fine. So who can win this? All this pressure towards quad side. Still just happily reloading here. Re-smoke of this angle. The boost comes in. Nice from Kenny. And that's a good opener here towards this A sites.
KNG and Library in the meantime trying to hold down the arch position. He might get abuse from Shox, but he's flashing for his teammates. Great support from the Yorpa. Maybe buying some time. Bolts, though, he's out in the open, spotting NBK, but that's all he can do in that situation. And that's all good. And KNG has to sacrifice his position. That's going to cause Shox to move into the arch position. I don't think he was spotted at all. And KNG's eventually going to go down to Shox. So great abuse of the man advantage from G2. As soon as KNG fires that shot, it's moving into the arch position. Now it's 2 versus 5 for Immortals, and they're still going for it, but this is surely suicide. I don't know if they really have the money to buy fully in the next rounds, especially with an AWP still in their hands, so it might be time to give up. Actually, it's only Steel who's short of money, so they're pretty much fine. But 2 versus 5, somewhat, that's a lot to ask on a retake of A. So they'll at least hold on to the AWP, maybe it will make it easier to spread the money.
And Body's coming, Kenny's coming. Oh, shot missed, but there's no time here to get these frags for G2. So back into advantage G2, and they can win it. All they have to do is take a round here. How hard could it be? How hard could it be? Immortals have been playing pretty well, so we shall see what is going to happen here very shortly, whether that's to be or not. We get the double ops here for Immortals. Gets a single off of Kenny S. G2 very, very aggressive there. T side in regular time, characterized by crazy aggression. Using those numbers, and here it is. We're going to see it again. He's trying to just get themselves in position here. Tagged on, is Henny there, I believe, through the wall, and KNG is lost towards apartments. Not a good start for Immortals.
Pure grenade abuse, well, almost entirely from G2. Again, they establish map control of Banana. They force the CTs back. They deny the CTs information towards B, but the last two very forward towards A. We've got a boiler position play from Immortals. That is Steel. You can hear players jump up onto that balcony position, and that might buy some time for his side. Those grenades, lovely angles through the smoke. K down to 11 HP. That might come into play a bit later on. They'll be very happy to take him out of the round. Missile lurker towards the B bomb site in shocks, and that's where the players are now headed. And again, NBK's in that cut-off position towards second mid, and he may just stay here. They've got a man advantage. If they retain it, then he can just stop the rotation through mid and allow his teammates to focus on CT.
Yeah, and I think, although KNG, what he did can look kind of crazy, I think there's a good reason for it, but we'll go back to this in a moment. We do have the push coming in from G2. They're looking to just close this down, close the game down. Henny, though, is a big obstacle to deal with. 2 quick kills for him. He's got support there. Lucas with another frag there. Nice kills coming back in, though, from the G2 side to take over the bomb site. But the question is, did Henny do too much damage already? That was 3 kills on the entry there between him and Lucas. A 2v2 off the plant.
That is a great start, almost taking Kenny down as well. Again, Kenny with 11 HP, and that's going to help Immortals because it's 2 versus 1. They've got no grenades. They have to wait for these smokes to disappear. The shoulder peek comes in. It won't be enough, though. The fatal kill for Kenny, but Bolts will take the second one. And we are back into overtime again.
So to quickly talk about KNG's position, often it can feel very suicidal, and when you're playing a pug or something, you hate to see a teammate on the CT side just run and take that peek down second mid into the balcony. And I believe the reason KNG likely did that is because G2 have put so much fast presence towards Banana in many, many rounds, using a lot of grenades and a lot of players to do so, that if he sees that there's nobody in second mid, he can get out into second mid and then try to make a play from there, whether it's just to hold onto a forward position. But it's I believe, a situation where Immortals are just trying to capitalize on how their opponents very commonly move around the map and take a risk there to win it all. Well, they were able to save the day, even though he died early. So really good stuff from Henny and Lucas on the sites. But can they keep it going here? Who's going to win this one, James? Who's going to win this one?
The people, Dan. The people.
The people win.
The people are going to win. Well then, G2, they've shied away from Banana. And previously, when they've done that, I think it's been... Well, I mean, the sample size is tiny, but the Immortals won the rounds. So let's see what they choose to do. Lucas is going to rotate because there's no action towards Banana whatsoever. It seems quite obvious to Immortals what is going on, but can Lucas get there in time? We've got 7 smokes around the A bomb site. That is completely bananas. But we've got flashbangs as well. Still very patient with the M4A4. Only good for the 1 kill. We've got no scopes coming in. It is a very good weapon for no scopes. Almost a second kill from Lucas as well. What a response.
Auto Sniper Man is always good. KNG in. Oh, the pit position. That's a beautiful, beautiful quick scope there. Able to get the leg, and Lucas will finish off the weakened opponents. Auto Sniper is awesome, man. Especially on a map like this where there's smokes all over the place. I think it was, may have been days you asked him this, like, what he thought about the Auto Sniper, and he's just like, yeah, it's just always good. It's just always good. Well, we're going to see the 1918 now as Immortals take a fine lead into this second overtime. This is map 1 of the day here, day 1 of the major qualifiers for the PGL major. Now we have a quick presence again on Banana. G2 again, they're doing this so often, and it goes to the point that I made previously why KNG would try to push second mid very early into the round. Because right now, only one player, it's been MBK typically, has been sent to this location. If you take him down, if you win that 1 versus 1, That's a big deal.
It's a great start from Henny, not missing the shots now. AWPers can commonly start strafing before shooting, which is a terrible habit. You don't want it to happen at a bad time. Speaking of AWPers, again, KNG in that library position. Don't see it so often. The sofa's still there, so you can stand on the sofa. So if you're against another AWPer, you're more likely to get legged yourself than shot in the chest. KNG will have action coming his way. The smoke towards Archer. Smoke to... Oh, that's awkward for him. Not expecting the pick to come in so far, but he's got the info for his team.
Yeah, and KNG just is so helpless at the moment. They're in that position. He's out of the fight for the time being, and that will allow the T's to take over the bomb site, get the plant down. The rotation, though, pretty quick coming in from Henny towards Banana. But the problem is it's a 2 AWP, 1 AK retake. I don't know if they can find any guns to switch up here to try to have a better, more dynamic approach. But poor KNG, man. This guy's just been stuck behind smoke. So there's a gap, though. Some nades being thrown again by these T's here as the CTs feel helpless, trying to run through the smokes. Not going to work out. And that's going to be the round here for G2. Henny will try to save this AWP, and he will be successful. Nice.
Okay.
Even a headshot. Always nice. Feels good.
I don't know if it's worth taking that duel at this point, though, in overtime. There's one round left. They're going to get the bomb plant bonus, so it doesn't really matter. It's like for the T's, it's irrelevant. But for the CTs, he probably needs to save his weapon.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think he's even got any utility in this next round. We'll see in a second. Bosh.
Yeah,
straight in the face.
It's a nice shot, but he should not be anywhere near that position in the first place.
So let's see if, yeah, he only has one nade. So I don't believe he's thrown any yet. So pretty sure I already saw that. So yeah, it's ooh, what's that? What? No, that's a lot of damage.
That was a drone strike. That was a drone strike. All I saw was shrapnel. KNG rotating towards B, so they've got the second AWPer rotating, but that's not ideal either, because if there's a smoke down, what is he going to do? Just shoot randomly, might even hit his teammate. Minutes 15, G2 biding their time. Shocks in his usual lurk position towards the B bomb site. Now we see a difference in approach from Immortals. Double play on short, but the roof is the difference maker. We've seen a lot of smoke executes from G2. Speaking of which, there it is. There's some info for them though. 2 players on that short position instantly responding with HEs.
G2 taking their sweet time. We get the push out from Apex. So great entry. That's really going to pull additional players here to just keep their attention towards A. That's exactly what you want. Well, a second kill. That is going above and beyond the call there for Apex. But they must deal with Henny and Lucas, previously quite softened up here. Still getting frags though. Burning eventually will fall. But so much damage has been done. Lucas, though, he needs to get 3 kills to save this round. It's not going to happen. G2 will win the last round of the first half of the second overtime of the first game of the day. And that's 20-19 for G2. And quite the mouthful at that. And we'll see if one of these teams is going to pull ahead here, because so far it's just been neck and neck. All the way almost, except after that. Well, except the first half.
I do wonder if Apex had a read that there might be somebody on the roof because of the double nades, because it was quite the peak from him around the tip of the smoke, which is not so common when you have to focus on Arch as well. So I do wonder if Immortals gave the game away on that one. Let me know what you guys think. AWP onto both sides in the first round of the second half of the second overtime of the first game. And things begin. Standard situation once again. Apex deploying the first smoke on Banana, which means his teammates can replenish the situation. So I am curious about the Immortals grenade approach when the smokes are down. Like they commonly deploy the Molotovs and so on. The nade spam just continues for so long there.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's very off-putting, because you kind of expect, like, once you've been the aggressor onto that position, you've thrown your nades, they'll throw some nades back, but then they kind of stagger it, so you can just get caught by like one here or one there. You might try to like dodge the first load, but then you don't know when the next ones are coming. It's just it seems quite effective. We see a lot of damage output from the grenades. So but the problem is that it's very taxing on the CTs because they don't. You can see it's 40 seconds left, and there's no smoke grenades left, which is, I suppose, pretty standard at this point. I guess I'm being a bit overzealous there with that point. But the push will eventually come in onto the B bomb site by Mr. Bolts. He's going to get taken down though. It's not really going too well over there, but they have pulled the rotation, so it has worked out for them. Oh my god, Kenny shutting down the push.
That was a great shot onto the player around the pit position. Really, really nice shot. Goes back to the second one as well. The bomb's planted, but he retains his map control. 2 players top mid for the CT side, and Kenny's got support as well. That smoke has left a humongous gap, and Immortals may train their crosshairs on that one, but Kenny's already in position. What are they going to do now, G2? Are they just going to wait? KNG moves into the angle, and Kenny punishes him for it. Now there's a 3 versus 1 situation. They know where Henny is. They know he's on the site, and the trade is all but guaranteed. G2 to 21 rounds.
Yeah, and you can see that time, previously you made the point where Kenny was worried about being faced from Arch side, but this time obviously has that freedom to take that second shot, gets the second kill because his name is Kenny, yes, and he is very good at Counter-Strike. So, 21-19, and G2, they've got a couple opportunities here to close down this game and end this very long inferno between these two sides. Let's see if the favorites, I think it's fair to say that G2 would be the favorites. Let's see if the favorites can take this one, or if Immortals can create a slight upset, or at least slightly upsetting for G2 at the very least. Very fast play there. Bolts onto Shocks, and this has been a lot about how the banana aggression has been dealt with from either side. Bolts with a good HE over the top. A solid connection there. Down to half health from that grenade. And Bolts continues to harass. Oh!
That's what I'm talking about. We don't see that wallbang enough when people are likely to be behind that panel. Oh, we have... See, again. Oh, he did tag through the wall, actually. I'm surprised it wasn't... I
think it's a leg, no?
Shot. I don't know which one it was. Maybe, probably the leg, in fairness. But anyway, it's a 5 versus 2. So Immortals, they're not quite done, Dan. They are not quite done. Double pit play from the CTs, but the Ts are already in control of the B bomb site. It's very slow approach regardless. Maybe it'll speed up now that they know both CTs are on the A bomb site. Now, G2 can more or less afford to... Oh, it's the... well, yeah, second last round. They could afford to go for this, I think. I mean, the loss bonus is going to suck, but... Well, it's difficult. I mean...
So
Apex to 5,500. 2 of them are just shy of 4,000. So life will be better if they hold on to these weapons. So it's marginal, but they are indeed at literally the opposite end of the map.
And they only got those 2 kills because they are holding that those super passive positions at the opposite end of the map. So it's rough, isn't it, for G2? They need to get some skateboards or roller skates or something to get there in time. But that's not been introduced into the game yet. So they can't do that. CT's on skateboards. Let's go.
Let's not go. How about that?
How about no? The body bang. 21-20, and indeed, Immortals once again creeping in on that. They want the 3rd overtime, man.
It's not a major about us commentating overtime, Dan.
No, it's true.
Double AWPs on the T side. Now, again, we spoke about comfort, right? Both these players are AWPers, but really, I feel like this is somewhat hamstringing themselves in how they can approach the round. And it's difficult to just kind of, crouch peeking's not what it used to be. So how are you going to be effective with these weapons? That is what I would like to see. Kenny's got an AWP as well. Missing the shot, though. Looking to snap, but it's a rare miss.
And Bolt's trying to get the push on B, and he was successful so often previously, but I feel like, it seems like Shoxy has more of a an idea about that now and was ready for it. Takes him down. Nice grenade damage again onto the players of Immortals, and we'll see whether or not G2 can actually survive the push that is about to hit them. Apex sitting on the bomb site. He's got MBK to play off of, and right now it's very passive from CTs. Just want the T's to come into the crossfires. That's what will happen. No nades to prevent this crossfire. Repositioning there from Apex is found out. Nice flick shot there from MBK. Picks himself up number 3. And now it's down to KNG. As he moves in quickly with the AWP, not the ideal weapon. Pulls out the Tech 9. The run and gun will be shut down. And G2 have finally managed to close the game. But what an effort from Immortals.
I really feel like in that last round, again, the second AWP on the T side hamstrings them, especially towards the end. So 3 versus 2, trying to push into a crossfire when 2 of the 3 players have got AWPs. It's awkward. It's very, very awkward. Indeed, G2 finally take it over the line, 22-20. Very strong start from the Frenchman, but Immortals T side proved to be the equal of the G2 team, but ultimately it is the Frenchman taking over the line, the first game of the tournament out of the way.
Yeah, and I did like how we saw a lot of adjustment from both teams. It started out where G2 were trying to bully all the time and just trying to force their way up and on, and just crazy amounts of utility usage. It's very rare to see both teams contesting it so heavily. CTs usually don't want to invest that much utility, and so it was very interesting to see that dynamic play out, and that Immortals weren't too affected going into the second half. They just played their game. They were able to make some good reads as the situation went along. Very impressive that they managed to get so far, actually.
Indeed, and now it's time for the thoughts of the analyst desk, and maybe the double ups on T side. I'd love to know what they think about that.
So would I, James, yes. Well done. Congratulations to G2. Eventually they got there. 22-20 in the end, boys.
It's just I have this weird echo.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think we all have that. They'll fix it at some point.
Is it too early in the day, or am I already losing my mind? But yeah, obviously strong start to the tournament, to the day. First game, double overtime, and yeah, it was super exciting. But it did feel like G2 was getting a bit complacent after that strong first half. Despite losing both pistols, they were in control of the result, at least for a big part of that game.
Yeah, and when you lose 2 pistols, you sort of feel like, well, it's going to be tough, isn't it, if you're going to lose both pistols? Yeah, when they won the first half, you thought, well, okay then. Well, they're obviously, all of our thoughts we said about, they're slow to wake up and they're not very good in the mornings, kind of went out the window, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that when you've dug yourself as deep of a hole as Immortals did in the first half, and it might not even matter that much. You won both pistol rounds, but you were sitting at 5 rounds at that point after winning that second pistol round, right? So it's still going to be a massive run no matter what. Saying that, I think the first half really, you could tell Immortals when they had economy, they would be contesting Banana, and they made sure that G2 didn't have all the time in the world for the B executes. At the same time, I felt like they played a little bit too passively, all the way to the overtime. In the first, I think they were sitting at 3-2 or 3-1 at that point.
That's wrong.
Yeah, they were in a 5-on-3 and just basically letting go of B bombsite, and there's no cohesion in the way they were playing a retake afterwards and just letting G2 pick them apart one by one. Same thing happened on overtime.
Yeah, the problem I have with that particular round, the 5v3 situation, is why do you give the control of B? I mean, if you're on the T side and you have a 3v4 after plant in B bomb side, that's like perfectly winnable situation, right?
It's a fear of loss. It's a fine line between playing smart and fearing to lose that situation. You have the man advantage. The kind of thought process to that is that we're in a 5-on-3. You don't want to take unnecessary risks, but that's when you start playing a little bit too passively. You give your opponent that kind of an opportunity, and when you have the players that G2 do, and if you're Immortals and you're not playing with enough cohesion to be able to play a retake together, yeah, they're going to punish you.
I think that was the biggest problem, in addition to the start of the game where it was going back and forth with the force buys. And despite Immortals winning basically an eco, the round after that was the 5v3 that we saw. And I think that really broke them early on. We had one similar round later on in the half as well, this time on the A bomb site, and really against a team like G2 you can only afford to make so many mistakes.
And what I really like from G2 on the side though is like that they were playing aggressive on top and middle, and then gradually falling back to the bomb site as the time dwindled down. And then MBK, I thought it was playing a massive part of them winning, obviously, hitting 34 kills overall. But City side, he managed to stay alive for such a long time in a lot of the situations on the balcony or in the pit. And that in itself, even if you only just get, let's say you only get 1 kill, as long as you stay alive there, you're going to be an issue. Because for the T's, you're going to be in a crossfire situation, coming up on quad, you're going to get clocked up really easily.
MVP for this one is MBK that we picked out. I don't think there's any doubt he had a great game, didn't he?
Yeah, not just statistically. I mean, when you look towards the end of the game, he made the biggest plays. That position around pit balcony is maybe even the most important on the map, because you have to do a lot of work by yourself, and you can see how much work he actually did, just buying time for the rotate to come in, of course getting kills along the way.
As you can see, statistics on the bottom of your screen right now. A great game from him with 34 kills. 22 of those were headshots.
Signature weapon UMP, of course.
Of course.
And the pistol. And the pistol CZ. That's
classics.
Like, that is...
I mean,
he's French.
These guys have always defined and redefined the gun meta to an extent, haven't they? Yeah. Back in the day, CZ, when it was kind of OP, you know, they were the ones that really invented it.
But that's why I jokingly said he's French. He's allowed to do that. That's what they do. They reinvent this stuff. They bring stuff into the game which we don't always think is viable, or, you know, they abuse certain guns that they find that are strong.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing wrong with that.
No, not really. I think to an extent, as long as there's a balance, I think it's better the more viable weapons we have in game. In my opinion, but it's hard.
You just went and said it.
Natty just wants the MP5 back. That's all he wants.
He's just, you know, nowadays he's just a casual gamer, wants to play with all the guns, a little bit of shotguns, a little bit of MP7s.
Nothing wrong with shotguns, Yanko. Don't start on that. Nothing wrong with shotguns. Before this gets out of hand, let's bring in a wise old man. He is a wise old man these days. Nathan, MBK, of course. MVP for you. Congrats on a win. That was tough.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a tough game. I just wanted to have a good show coming into that best of one, and I think that happened.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Because I mentioned to the boys earlier on when we started the show, you guys don't always start very well. So how did you sort of approach that this morning? Did you come in and go, oh God, first game again, and it's against the Immortals, this is going to be really tough? How do you focus on that?
We just try to come with energy. I mean, we try to come in with energy in the very first game, and we often have, I mean, we don't always have tough matchups, but we always play maps that we're not really shaky, but that is not our best map, pretty much. Sure. And so that's why it's always hard to find the solutions when you're trying to get energy into doing something, and then you have to adapt straight away. And luckily it started good for us this time, but couldn't adapt on the City side.
Do you look at this game and think, this could be the toughest game we have? If we can start with a win, does that put you in a better position? Is that the kind of mentality you have with this?
I mean, Immortals is probably the strongest teams aside from us here at the tournament, or very close to it, and the thing is, beating them now means, I mean, just playing them now, period, is meaning that we're not going to be able to face them later into the tournament. So facing them at 0-0 is much better than facing them at 2-2, for instance. Yeah. And so it relieves a lot of pressure to not play them later in the tournament, and especially starting off with a win, because, I mean, it's pretty simple, but you have to win 3 games, and best of one's going to go pretty quick either way. So even for that game, you could have went their way pretty easily.
Yeah. Are you guys nervous at all? Do you get nervous anymore at these events? I know it's a big tournament because you want to go to the major and you want to compete, and that's where you want to be. But do you sort of worry a little bit when you come into these events?
Yeah, I mean, you always have the pressure where you're supposedly the favorite team, and you're playing against the underdogs, and they're all cheering for you. But, I mean, there is no pressure to have. If we play our game, we're supposed to be above everyone else, and we're supposed to qualify, or at least be in the top 8 of the 16 teams that are present here. So it's all up to us to just play our game. And, again, the only persons and the only team that can just take us down is ourselves. And pressure is the only thing, is one of the only thing that can really cripple us. So we just want to stay focused and play simple. We think that we have pretty good individualities, and that we can just do pretty much whatever we want in a game, and so we try to use that against teams that we could surprise and that would lack of adaptation.
I've got Yanko and Natu here alongside us. Gents, have you got any questions for MBK?
I mean, I was wondering in general for Inferno, like, how do you feel about the map? It seemed to me, or we were discussing this in the green room, how teams are letting go of rounds very easily nowadays on the map, just because of how important economy is, how important it is to have all the utilities. So even in like equal situation in a 4-on-4, people just let go of those rounds. So
difficult to retake.
Yeah, it's very difficult to retake, and I think Immortals played their side as good as they could. As in, we were taking control of bomb sites, and then when they were saving, and that was the best thing to do in their economy. But the only thing I think on their city side, they didn't take the up that much on the first half, or at least we didn't notice it, or we attacked the good positions. I don't really know, but I know that's their strength to play double up 24/7, and I often saw only one up, and then we just had to go take the bomb site, and then when they have simple double up, it's even harder to retake. So on Inferno, it makes sense to just try to take the bomb sites and to lock them down, because that's, for instance, what happened in a 3-on-5 that was pretty crucial in the game, where we just took control of Banana and won it. Just a pretty simple 3-on-5 with crossfires and playing together. Yep. So I think that's the main thing with Inferno. You need to lock down the bomb sites, and then if you're 2-on-1, you're most likely going to win it.
Do you feel that maybe they've been giving you too much room to work with? As you said, it's like important not to let people get into the bomb site, and they seem to have, fallen back even in overtime in that round 5v4 situation. They've been playing super passive, and you guys were able to take the site and win that round. Yeah,
I think on that 5-on-4 rounds, I made the mistake of not calling to go back to A, because I knew they had information in mid, because they were flashing 24/7 and taking information. So we just went on the bomb side where there were two. But in general, I think they were a bit too passive in Banana. Either they were coming at 2 or 3 with Marty's, smokes, and flashes, and so we knew they were there, or they were just playing 4 back and waiting on the bomb side, and they didn't have that mix where you just peek with the op without no flashes or smokes and just take control, into being a bit more blunt so you can save the smokes and Marty's for later. So yeah, it's a bit of a general thing with the game. It was kind of all or nothing, as in either everyone was fighting at the same time in a bomb site, or it was 5-on-1 on a bomb site, and then people were saving, and that was pretty much the same. Either they were too passive and staying on the bomb sites, or too aggressive and we knew where they were. And so I think that sums up the game quite well.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
MBK, thank you for joining us. I do realise the irony of calling you the old man earlier. Kind of didn't work, did it? Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, MBK, and good luck with your next game.
Thank you.
There we go then. G2 and MBK are winners in the opening game. Wasn't easy, was it? 22-20. We'll wrap things up with Janko and Natty before we move on to game 2. Just final thoughts on that game. Immortals won't be too upset with that, will they?
No, I mean, a bit of a, I guess kind of a usual early game of a tournament, scrappy here and there. Maybe there's some not crisp decision making every now and then, again, as we saw, with a bit too much passiveness and stuff. But still, I mean, they were very close to creeping back from being in a massive disadvantage. Yeah. So yeah, you have to think of the long run in this tournament. You just faced the biggest demon you can deal, and you're not going to face them later in the tournament anymore. Yeah. So
and Janko, you made the point earlier that G2. Doesn't matter whether they win or lose against Immortals. They know they don't have to play them again. MBK said the same thing. Same applies to Immortals, doesn't it?
Exactly. I think they just need to maintain their composure for the rest of the tournament. Realize this game was, they could have easily won it. They didn't, but there's still a lot of Counter-Strike to be played, and they need to work on their mentality to an extent to, play to win and not play not to lose. Don't question yourself. Like, have confidence in your abilities, because it's obvious that they are, one of the stronger teams here.
Yeah. Okay. Time to head to a break right now. When we come back from our break, though, it will be time for our second match of the day. We're going to be playing all of the best of ones, all 8 in a row today, back-to-back. Next up, North America's mixed team versus a very international-looking Penta. We'll be back after the break.